Oh.
Welcome to the Shoe in the Breeze Conversation with the DJ podcast with your host, Eric Lee and Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas.
What's up, Lo? What's going on, my brother?
What's up, E. Lee in the place to be? I be the L-I-T, the C-I-T, always on fire. I stay lit.
And I be yours truly, E. Lee, in the place to be. And welcome to Shooting the Breeze Conversation with the DJ, where we get a chance to talk to some folks in the music industry, the entertainment industry, the business side. We get a chance to talk to a whole lot of folks.
Oh,
and
man.
Tonight, this is going to be a good show tonight.
Woo-wee!
Y'all ready for this?
I'm ready for this one,
You
man.
ready for this one?
I am ready for this one.
Man, and the beautiful thing about it is when we bring in people on the show, 99% of the time we know these folks. It's not just somebody we're just bringing on.
Exactly.
So that's the exciting part.
And
But
that's what makes it so special, Ely, because we have, we know in this industry, it's all about relationships. You know what I mean? And you can see these relationships have just, evolved over the years. And I think we love each other more now than we did back then.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're checking us out on social media, make sure you hit the like button. If you're checking us out on Facebook, if you're checking us out on YouTube, do us a favor. Hit the subscription button as well as the notification button as we bring out this cool content on a weekly basis. We're going to make sure you are a part of it and you know it's going down. If you're in the chat section, feel free, drop us a chat. We'd like to talk to you. This is all interactive. It's all about you guys. But let's talk about the brother that I'm about to bring on the show tonight.
Let him know. Let him know what it is, man. I mean, he doesn't need an introduction to some people, but we got one for him.
Yeah, we got a brother that was.
Welcome to Death Row.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna talk about that.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna talk about that though. This brother has been working for companies like Columbia, Black Ground Records, Quality Control, and people are like, what's all of that? I mean, those are just names. So who did he work with? Well, Tupac, Aaliyah, Beyonce, Amigos. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, and not the legend, but he's on his way to make super legendary status. My man, Paris is in the house. Paris Johnson, what's going on, my brother?
My guys, what's going on, fellas?
Man,
what's up, Paris?
We're glad you're up in the place, man.
Blessed and highly favored, man. How y'all doing, man?
Everything is good, man. First and foremost, welcome to the to the show. We wanted to, of course, as we talk to our folks, we want to give you guys your roses while you're still around, because
That's right.
You've worked for and worked with a number of folks, and people will not necessarily know what you've done or who's behind these folks, but for every Tupac, for every Aaliyah, for every Migos, there's a team behind these folks.
Facts, big facts.
And so we're going to talk about your contribution to the music industry, how it all started, how you got down, because I had a conversation with you and I was amazed, and I knew a lot about you, but some of the stuff you blew my mind about. Let's get down how it all started.
Just as fortunate, man. I mean, it was part of God's plan. I thought I was going to be in the NBA and ended up in the music business. Just a young guy out of the Bay Area that when I came out of high school, I was one of the top basketball players in Northern California. Matter of fact, I think it was Kevin Johnson was ranked behind KJ, who went on and played in the NBA, but, that's one of my guys, and I was ranked behind him, but we were the top two guards coming out of Northern California when I came out of high school. Also guys like Brian Shaw, one of my boys, we were same class, and Reggie Miller, and all of us, out of state, California. And I had got a basketball scholarship to Oregon State University.
I think we're losing you, Paris.
Yeah,
Can you
he's
hear?
going. Yeah, you're going
You're
in
going
and
in
out.
and out.
You buffering, man. You're buffering a little bit.
You're a
The
little.
story's getting too hot. That's what it is.
Well, we like the T-shirt, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm trying to represent, man. Snoop is this is like the start of something special when we did this album. I didn't know what kind of journey that I was really embarked. I knew it was gonna be some special shit. Now,
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I had left Columbia Records, man, and at that time, we were rolling. I mean,
Well, Paris, talking about that Snoop Dogg project and being someone that's been in the business and worked with a lot of people that have put albums together, what did you think about, and I know Dr. Dre kind of did it on the Chronic, but all the skits that Snoop put in between the songs hadn't been all, done before in the past. Was that received by the record company, or what were those discussions like when you were listening to the album?
I mean, for me, I was a part of the culture, so I was just like, that was that shit. I was probably the youngest one on the staff at Interscope at the time, in the promotion staff. So that's why I took that job. I was, I had a comfy type of job with Columbia. There were people that have been there for a number of years, but I mean, I was on the road one week. I'd be on the road with Criss Cross, and then the next week I'd be on the road with Nancy Wilson. Man, it just was.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
The iconic Nancy Wilson.
Yeah,
you be like, guess who I saw today? You know what I mean? Yeah. Nancy Wilson.
Yeah.
Right.
And you going from People Bryson to Supercat.
Wow.
You're all over the place.
Yeah, that's how big Columbia was.
Right.
And the opportunity, I had really turned Interscope down a few times, to be honest, at first. But they said, well, just fly out here and they went to pitch me in person. And I was like, shit, I'm living in Memphis, man, and go to LA.
But you started
from Cali. And so, yeah. So
but you started, didn't you say you started right here in Atlanta with Busted?
Yes. That was the start. So yeah, let me backtrack. I actually at Morehouse, I started a street promotion company, and I was doing street promotions for a lot of up and coming artists. And I struck gold with the first indie label that I did work for. It was called Triad Records.
Right.
And their first group wasn't good. I think they were called America's Most Wanted or some bullshit, stuff like that. But they struck. She struck gold with her second act. Her second act was Spice One.
Oh, okay.
And this is before Jive and all of that. That was when I really felt that I really was a part of something that could be something. But she was independent and still trying to get a deal. But that opened up doors for me with DJs because I'm the first one to turn them on to Spice One.
Right.
And I started meeting all the different DJs, and I was going to the Black College Radio Convention. Jokes just passed, matter of fact, the other day, condolences to his family, may he rest in paradise. But he really put together something that he used to have every year at CAU. Back then it was Clark College, but at CAU, where he had the Black College Radio Convention.
Oh no. We were in college. We went there when there was at Pascal's. We used to come down there.
Yes, come on, come on. That was one of the spots they would have. Yeah,
Paris, Eric and I were there together at the same time.
Jokes just passed last week.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Just literally, they just had a big thing in the newspaper about him.
Okay.
I didn't realize he was the first black reporter on TV for WSB.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either.
That's
I didn't know that. They did a special on him last weekend, and I saw that. I was like, oh wow, yeah. But that was the first convention I ever went to. And I met Larry Davis there.
Okay.
And, Larry was a Morehouse man. He had graduated from Morehouse, and I was transfer student. He was, after he finished, I went and introduced myself, and I told him I wanted to see my proposal. I had a proposal. I was doing this Black College, promotion stuff, and I said, "Can I send it to you?" So I sent it to him when he got back to LA, and he called me. He's like, man, this is really good, you know. He's like, you know, you need to do more than just go to Black college radio. That's okay, but you need to go to a real music convention. I'm like, what's that?
Jack the Rapper.
I'm like, what's that? I didn't know.
Right.
You know? And this is 88,
88?
89, 88, 89, you know. And he turned me on to, he told me the BRE. And he told me about Impact. Jack the Rapper wasn't as big. That was like the third one. You would talk about BRE at that time was number one. Impact.
That was Sidney Miller, right?
Yeah.
Sidney Miller, BRE.
That's when, may he rest in peace. That's one of my mentors, man. Sidney, you know, was definitely, I can credit as a mentor. Yeah. I didn't know it at the time when I saw him leading the parade, you know, on the way to get on the boat. You don't know if you remember that in the old days, they block off the street and they was you staying at one of the hotels off a canal. Then he'd come down with the band behind him and he just marching all the way down to get on the bus. Man, I mean, on the boat, on the yacht, and whoever was sponsoring that, you know.
Right.
It was, those was like some real fun, big times. And I had no idea. It totally blew my mind. Right. I mean, I was taken aback. And at the time, I was a county major at Morehouse, and I had done 3 internships. So I wasn't like no little kid. And that was green. And I had played basketball at Oregon State and at University of California, Davis. So I had been around the country hooping and, you know, arenas. When I was at Oregon State, you know, we won the Pac-10. You know, I was a freshman, so I wasn't getting no tick, but you know, I was, you know, there, you know, and
you ended up in the music, and you ended up in the music industry. So how'd you hook up with Hammer?
What happened was that same guy, Larry, Larry, I think he's down in Orlando now, but Larry Davis. I was, after going to a couple of conventions, I actually, funny story, I met Ken Wilson at the first music convention I went to, him and Demet. I wasn't in, I was still at Morehouse, and some guys came up to me, see, I'm 6'4", they saw me at the bar, it's like, hey man, we're hooping at the Y tomorrow up the street. I'm like, damn, they be playing basketball too up here? Like, man, I know these dudes ain't playing no basketball, so let me go up here tomorrow. And so I went up there low, and you know, they had, all the young dudes in there hooping, you know. I played college ball, you know. When I was killing these guys, man. It was just like, it was really easy. It was fun because I'm shooting threes and dunking and stuff. And, hey, who the hell are you? You know? And it just happened I was on the team with Ken, and Ken Wilson liked to win. And he was like, hey, you know, every convention, you're going to have to come play with us. You know, we ran the court that day. It was me, Ken, Demet, and a couple other guys, man. And that was like one of the first guys. I was still at my house, so, you know. And Ken was like, you want a job? I'm like, hell yeah. But my mentor, Larry Davis, had ended up calling me maybe 6 months later after that convention, saying his colleague had got a promotion and he was putting together a staff. And he told him about me. And that colleague was Howard Geiger. And I flew out to LA, interviewed with Howard, and the label was Busted Records. And I was supposed to be in Charlotte because they didn't want to start in a rookie in Atlanta. It's like, yo, you young. We can't put you in Atlanta. I was already living in Atlanta. And I'm like, I said, I'll go to the moon for the job. So I didn't care.
Right.
But they couldn't get, I think they tried to hire Doug Craig or somebody. But I think Motown matched that offer. And so they could get it. And so I was like, shit, let me stay here. I can do it. And they like, so begrudgingly, I got to start in Atlanta. It was not supposed to be like that.
Right.
And that really started my career. First act that I picked up and took on the road was Dougie Fresh.
Also, if you didn't know, this is called a show.
Yes. Another one of my mentors. I consider Dougie a mentor because
I do too.
Yeah. I mean, we partied to Dougie's shit when I was in college, man. And
we all
get
did.
the meeting and and he's seen my young ass, back then, you know, you'd be at the gate waiting for him to get off the plane, you know, pre 9/11, and you waiting for him. He walked right past me looking for the record rep, like,
who are you?
like, Doug, hey, you know, he was like, you with the label? Damn, you kind of young, you know. He was
Young
looking
brother.
at me style, you know. And you know, it was a great experience, man. He broke me in. I didn't know shit.
Okay.
Artist I took on the road, and he was like, man, hip hop is growing up. Like, you know, we didn't get the chance to be on the business side, man. You don't know how big this is. You being a, because I was, I guess, the youngest promotion person he had ever met at
Right.
that time. And I knew I was the youngest one on the staff at Busted, but I didn't know who else was out there like that. And so he told me that. And
we're talking about this whole hip hop turns 50 now.
yes.
So and being a part of it at the beginning, how's that make you feel inside, bruh?
Well, I ain't not at the beginning, bro. I ain't that old now. Don't put that on me.
Hold on, man. Look, for real.
I looked up to Dougie, so Dougie was for me. And then
Well, I said we were, but really, come on. Doug came out in what, 85? What was it? Doug came out 85?
You know, yeah, you know.
And you in the business at 88? Stop
You
that.
know, for me, when I came out, I stopped playing basketball in '88.
Okay.
Collegiately.
Right.
And I came to Morehouse in '88 and fell into doing the street promotion stuff. And just one thing led to another. By 90, 91, I had a job.
Okay. Hey, look, you've been in it.
All right, so
we're business early enough.
Yeah, we're gonna say we'll cut off about 14, 15 years for you. All right. But since then, I mean,
you got 35 in, Playboy.
I came in with a hammer, though. I did come in with hammer.
And I remember Hammer coming through the Richmond Coliseum. Me and Eric were working at WCDX Power 93, and that concert was with Hammer, Vanilla Ice, In Vogue. Yeah.
Later on, I remember when we went on. You know, I didn't go up north because that wasn't my territory. That was your girl Orlando's territory.
Yeah, and she was on the show last week.
Orlando was in DC at that time. Like, I was the rookie on the staff, and I went on the road with him all through from the Carolinas down. And man, I was like, wow.
Right.
Wow.
Shout out to Wanda Hayes. She said, "What's up, guys? Hey, Wanda.
Hey, Wanda. Hey, mom. Hey, mom. That's my second mom, and my mom is on here too. My mom, Carol. That's my mom Dukes right there. Mom Dukes representing up top.
If you're checking us out on Facebook, definitely hit the like button. If you're checking us out on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscription button as well as the notification button and share. So you at Busted, you at Hammer, you're doing your thing. You two legit. What was next?
I mean, to me, that was, you know, working for a Black-owned company at that time, being a young person. I was an accounting major when I was at Morehouse, and I had interned with, this accounting firm in Oakland, where I'm from, called Ferguson and Company, and he was their accountant. And I literally, while I was at Morehouse, I was going through filing receipts and shit. And I'm like, damn, this is drudgery work. I didn't really think anything about it, for real. Like, I was a, young accounting major. And then the next summer I interned with Pillsbury in Minneapolis doing financial analysis. So I was on that track. Yeah, I was a county major at Morehouse. And that Minneapolis shit, it was like, damn, I don't know if I want to do this. Just the corporate. And, I grew up, I was raised from people who came from, the 60 movement. I was born in that. And my mom was a nurse with Huey Newton's wife. And I grew up, just amongst people who were either in the Black Panthers or they was at the Nation. It was just so much social activism around me. And then we moved to Berkeley, and even Berkeley was even more. And in Berkeley, they taught you that in the schools, man.
Right.
Berkeley was more liberal than the Oakland, believe it or not. When I came up, it was very liberal. So you got a chance to study a lot of different cultures.
Right.
You know, so I didn't grow up thinking I was less than anybody.
Okay.
You know, so my mentality was just different. So having the chance to come into the game and work for a Black-owned company, I was really proud. And I really went hard. Like, you know, my boss called me the road runner because I didn't have no serious girl, nothing, didn't have no kids.
Right.
I just would be on the road, man. And, you know, we had bullshit records, man. And, you know, it so I was with the young guys and the young DJs that might can play this at the club they was at. It wasn't getting, you know, every now and BNGB and, you know, Special Generation, but it was really work records, but that was a blessing because it made me work on my relationships with people. And so I'm really thankful. And I've told Hammer this many a times because we run into each other at various times, and, you know, felt good for him to tell me he was proud of me, you know. But you know,
so what came after Buster Records?
I was like one of the last two
to leave.
Oh man, it was sad when they closed the doors. And the next job, you know, Ken called me. He was like, "All right, motherfucker, you ready for a real job now?" And he hired me at Columbia.
Okay.
And, I had to move to Memphis, Tennessee. I didn't like Memphis though, man. Yeah, there we go. There go the crew.
Destiny's Child and Jagged Edge.
Yeah, man. You know, but see, that's later on. See, that story you're looking at is when I came back.
Oh, so you left?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is when I came back. Like that's after I had made it.
So talk about Memphis, because we talked about Memphis quickly, and when we're a while ago, and you talked about your neighbor, which floored me.
Yeah. No, I've been blessed. I was blessed and highly favored, man. You know, God just put you in certain positions. And when I knew coming from Atlanta to Memphis was going to be, you know, a change for me.
Right.
You know, Memphis it was still like a big town. It was, you know, wasn't like what it is now. They redid Beale Street. They redid they have a basketball. They didn't even have a pro team.
Okay.
When I was there, they were just finishing up the casino. The first one, they didn't even have a highway to get to. You had to drive down this little 2-lane highway to get there. Right. So I was there in the beginning of all that. So I was like, it was not very cosmopolitan, you know, but I love some soul food. And I was like, I got to stay downtown. So I stayed right off of the river. And at this high rise, and you know, and so you can see the boats coming in down the river, and I had a view of the pyramid. And I'll get on the elevator one day, going to my. I only could afford a studio now. I didn't have a studio, but I had a view though with my studio. I get on the elevator one day and see this guy in there he had 2 women in there with him on the elevator. Damn.
He pimping.
Hayes. I'm like, oh shit, Mr. Hayes. He looked at me, he's like, Young Blood, you live in here, Young Blood? You live in this building? I was like, yes, sir, Mr. Hayes.
Why you just call him Isaac, Black Moses?
Hey,
Mr. Hayes.
I was taken aback, man, because I grew up on this music.
On Isaac Hayes.
You know, my parents had, man, and you know, that I played, you know, shoot, man, Isaac was great to me. So it's rare you can catch me off guard. That one caught me. And he was like, what you do, Young Blood? You know, I think he said if I was some street dude or something, I don't know. I was like, I'm working in the music business. He said, what? Who you work for? I said, at Columbia. He said, for who? I said, Eddie Pugh. He said,
oh, wow.
He said, you tell that motherfucker you know me.
Oh man, Eddie Pugh.
Eddie Pugh.
No, you know, and so Isaac and then we see each other, and you know, just developed that relationship. You know, being neighbors. You know, he stayed up in the penthouses, though you know, he was way above me. I probably might have been on
the building, brother. You in the building
floor, and he might have probably been on the 15th floor, and my butt on the 4th floor type of deal. But you know, he was really good dude. So, that was one of my fondest memories about living in Memphis. And, and taking Crisscross on the road. I took Crisscross on the road in the beginning, and just that relationship and Escape, taking them out on, their first time around on Just Kicking It and that stuff. And out with the Fugees on the college tour, on Fuji La, so, just seeing, I really fell in love with the art of the start.
Now, how big was that Crisscross phenomenon? Now, we witnessed it from the inside, but what was it like on the outside? Because I don't think a lot of people realize how huge Crisscross was.
I mean, I've been with them and we've been chased, and we had to run to get to the car or whatever to get out of there. Like, they were really big, love them little dudes, man. And, both Chris's, they just, they kept me on my toes.
Right. Now, did you wear your clothes backwards like they did?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's one style we missed. Yeah. We're not doing that.
I had to put funny story with Chris Kelly. Like, he was always the dark skin. He was always the brash one. And
right.
I had we were in New Orleans, and I had put together itinerary. I don't know if you guys know Howard Collins, who was my intern at that time. I had two people. We actually had two interns in New Orleans, Nicole Robinson and Howard Collins. I had them both interns with me because radio was so tough down there. They wasn't, Gerard, Steve wasn't playing anything. And so I said, I'm gonna take over the streets. So I'm gonna get young, and I'm gonna mess with all the young people. And so I would, I come to town. I had that Columbia card. I ordered food and invite all the DJs up to my suite in the hotel. And they was like, damn, who's it? Gerard. Matter of fact, G called one time with the station. Man, what are you doing, man? You having people, all the DJs coming to your hotel? I was like, man, I'm trying to get my shit played in New Orleans. You're not playing.
That's right. Gerard about 5'5" on a good day.
I was crazy now.
Gerard about 5'5" on a good day.
Yeah, he's like, this young motherfucker right here. But, I come from promoting to DJs. So every job I've had, I always went to the DJ first because I came from street promotions. I didn't come from retail. I've never worked at a radio station. You see what I'm saying? I came from, the mud of this. That's how I started. Sitting in smoky ass clubs, hole in the walls with DJs to play my records, buying them drinks, watching what records he's playing, just trying to. I really was a student.
Well, it pays off, my brother.
I was doing
at the largest level now.
Well, I dabbled. Matter of fact, my guys at the house. That's their inside joke. Brian Shaw, if you ask him, who coaches with the Clippers now, guys have known me my whole life, and we balled, play hoop together and barnstorm together. They still call me PJ the DJ.
Okay.
Still,
wow.
That's like,
so
somebody says PJ, they know me from back when I used to do tapes. I was the first one that had to do a cassette. My mom, remember the dude?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Pause master tapes.
Come on man.
Now. Yeah.
Bro, I was taking stuff off the radio and catching before the commercial. Then I do my PJ the DJ drop in between here. And I was making these, I had the tapes like for you to get you up if you had a game, had the tapes if you had your lady there, like for real. Like my DJ tapes was in demand, man. Back then.
That's right.
DJ the DJ. I hear you.
And would be mad if the DJ was talking over your favorite song. That's what we call the intro. Be mad. Can you shut up? I'm trying to record. This is my favorite song, but the intro was 17 seconds long, so he talked all the way up to the end.
Yeah, I didn't have the mixing thing right, so I had to be real short and brief with mine and come right on. He didn't have that, So, but now that's really, so my affinity for the DJ piece had already been there, and I didn't really. It was just something to do. No idea that would come back and lead to something. you know, I was happy to get in the clubs for free, to be honest. I was at Morehouse, and my pitch literally, and this is another true story. After I got my first taste with Trad Records, I didn't have any other clients. And so what I did was I called Georgette, who owned the label, and I said, who are these companies that you told me you couldn't afford to pay up in New York and all of this stuff? And she's like, why you want to know that? I was like, I'm just curious to see who else is in the business. So she gave me some names, right? I got their phone numbers, and then I called them and told them that can I got an inheritance, and my brother's a rapper, and we got this song, and I need some help. We don't know what to do, you know. And they go into their sales pitch, what they could do for them, and I'm just ear hustling, you know. and I'm like, you know, we down here in Atlanta, you know, that sounds good, but man, can you send me something? And they're like, yeah, give me an address. We'll send you a proposal. And I got me about 3 of them proposals, man. And I told you I went to UC Davis, man, and you know, shit, I had a resume business, man, at Morehouse. I was doing students' resumes, and
the hustle was real.
That was my hustle was real. Cause I was a motherfucker on a Mac, and they didn't have Macs in Atlanta.
I'm an MF on the Mac,
California, and so we were on Macs. And
right.
So when I came out here on the Mac, and they seen my shit, and people was like, damn, how you did that resume? And I was like, yeah. So I started putting on flyers around Clark and Spelman and Morehouse, and I was doing resumes for students and shit. So when I got a proposal, I had these 3 proposals, and you know, I just reworded it in what I would say, you know.
Right.
And went to the library and started doing my research on the music business and stuff, and started getting other resources. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus in these streets in Atlanta. And with my frat, we was going to all of these parties and all of these black colleges. And said, you know, I'm just gonna start bringing my records with me and start promoting, you know. And that's really how I started.
Okay, so you started off at Busted. You ended up in Mississippi doing some stuff for Columbia. What was next?
Oh man, I was just, I think, getting, you know, used to living in Memphis a little bit. And
right.
I get a call from my old boss trying to like, man, you know, I got this new job. We need you over here. Got all this young shit. Like, that's you know, I'm like,
we need somebody from the gutter.
Yeah, I'm like, man, I've just been here a year. You want me to leave after yes? I ain't gonna leave. Come on, it's Howard Geiger. Come on, man. Yeah. Okay. So I literally turned the job down twice. This is a true story. I gave him a name the first time. He interviewed the person. He called me, that motherfucker ain't you. That motherfucker ain't you. He ain't work. I gave him another person, another name. He called me back. I flew them out there. I don't really know. I don't think that. He said, man, at least come out here and meet with Step and see, you know. I'm like, shit, free trip to LA. Fuck it, you know. And I flew out to LA and met with him and Step, and you know, they played me the records. I'm like, oh shit, damn. These motherfuckers don't even know what they listening to. True story. Like,
let them know what label this is.
And I'm like, oh shit. And Step and Howard, you know, they older, man. So it's you know, but this is the shit that I personally listen to.
Paris, you got to drop the label. What label?
Drop the label and the artist so people know who we talking about.
You don't know. Drop the label.
This new label that was just starting their black music division named Interscope.
Damn. Interscope.
Interscope. When I came to Interscope, I joined. They had 3 other reps. They had just hired. It was Tommy Marshall, Michael Redwine, and Woody Johnson.
Right.
And I was the 4th. Woody was in DC. Tommy was in Mississippi and Jackson, and Redwine was in Dallas. And so, you know, then they needed me to, you know, Woody did the East Coast, and then I went from the Carolina all the way to Florida. And Tommy handled Arkansas, you know, and then Redwine did the Southwest. So, you know, that was, and we didn't have anybody in the Midwest yet when we first started. And then about a year later, Garnett March joined us, and he moved from New York to Chicago and became the 5th person on Interscope staff. So that was the original Interscope staff that we started out with. But it was
So
4
who are
of
you
us.
working with on the staff? So what artists did you
When
have?
I first got there, believe it or not, I was wondering if I made a mistake. I ain't gonna even lie, because you know, God puts things first. It was a dream. I ain't gonna, you know, it started out like amazing. When I decided to take the job, I said, okay. After I heard the records they played for me in Los Angeles, I was like, this is some amazing. So I didn't know they had signed Teddy Riley. They was like, yeah, we signed Teddy Riley. He got this new group, Blackstreet. Listen to this. Wow. You know, and then they, you know, had this, got this soundtrack coming. Me that
You're phasing in and out. You're phasing in and out.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
okay.
You might repeat what you just said because we missed it.
Okay, no, I was saying they played when I went to Interscope, and they played me Teddy Riley's new group, Blackstreet. And I didn't know they had signed, you know, Teddy. And when I heard some of the music, I was blown away. I knew what that was. And they played me the Above the Rim soundtrack that was about to come out. And I was like, this is the best soundtrack I've ever heard.
Okay.
So that's how Teddy ended up with Dr. Dre doing No Diggity back in like 93, 94, around that era. Okay.
Yeah, I worked those records. So that all of that was, you know, when I heard this movement that they had, I was like, I wanted to be a part of it because I thought that was next. So that's why I took the risk.
Okay. I
took the risk because I thought I believed in Dre because I was a big fan of The Chronic.
Right.
I'm from the West Coast, so you know I followed him, Ice Cube, NWA. You know, I was at UC Davis when all of the NWA stuff was going crazy. You know,
okay,
at all our parties and stuff. So you know, I knew what that music was, and so I wanted to be. I felt that I was a voice for hip hop to get to the mainstream. Right. I guess that's the best because my peers, they didn't hear the music. You know, they used to call us hip hoppers. Remember that?
Yeah.
Hip hoppers don't understand, you know. And
you hip hoppers.
Yeah. So I felt like I was a voice for those artists to get through that glass ceiling that was placed, you know, at radio and whatnot to really get them heard. So that's really why I took the job, because I felt that was like the next things that was going to be big.
How long were you at Interscope?
I was there 3 years.
Okay.
You know, I left Interscope. I can tell you the Interscope story. I've told many people this story, but when I decided that I was going to take the job at Interscope, I told my I gotta find a place. Fly me there, you know, before I put in my notice. Let me see how much I got in the apartment. So they got me a ticket and a hotel room for the weekend. So I flew to Atlanta from Memphis and found me a spot. And one of my boys in Atlanta like, man, it's this new spot on Sunday nights, man. It's cracking. And like, okay, let me go see this, because I had a 6 a.m. flight out back to Memphis Monday, and I'm going to put in my notice. I go to this spot, and you'd never guess who I see in that club that night in Atlanta.
Who?
Suge Knight.
Did you run?
I ran up
Were you scared?
He said I ran up to him.
Okay.
Like, yo, Suge, what's up, man? I was like, they ain't playing your shit out here on the radio right now, but when I get that shit gonna change. I told him.
Boy, look.
He turned around.
Everybody don't make no money.
Right.
But
Parrish, I kind of want you as a record rep, and I don't think people realize this, how hard during those early 90 years was it to get hip hop played on the radio? Eric was a music director. I did a hip hop show on Power 93 where I had 4 hours freedom to play whatever I want. But to get those songs in regular rotation, I don't think the audience understands that radio didn't embrace hip hop at that time. So
only
talk about that a little bit.
Once an hour.
Right.
My boss told me My boss, I never forget, Eddie Pugh told me, he said, Parrish, I like you. You're a bright young man. But ain't Interscope one of them hip-hopper labels? He said, man, don't you know that Columbia is the biggest label in the music business? How the fuck you gonna leave that? He's like, we, you know, he said, look, what if rap don't make it? What you gonna do?
What if rap don't make it?
Hold
That's
on.
early 90s. That's almost 20 years in. What if rap don't make it?
And that was a thought. They thought it was a fad.
Folks that are checking this out, there was a time when the music industry didn't even believe in rap.
They
Right.
didn't.
They didn't.
So it was like I was considered taking a crapshoot. I mean, even members of the staff at Columbia was saying, you know, what the fuck you doing? Hey, you crazy. Da, da, da. I mean, I heard it all. So
Hey, but you remember, let's take it back there for really quick. Because when we talking about Columbia and Epic, they had Luther, Michael Jackson, Sade. I mean, they had some of the biggest acts out there.
Oh,
so,
it was the biggest label in the business.
The biggest label. So
Def Jam was underneath Columbia. When I was there, Def Jam was
underneath. So when Public Enemy and all those guys were underneath.
Yeah, I worked Boss. I worked LL, Pink Cookies in the plastic bag. And remember, you know, I was there during that era.
Okay.
You know, shout out to Boss. I don't know what happened to, you know, but that was, you know, that was a good time in music, you know, being out, you know, and I just bet on myself, man. You know, I saw those people at Columbia. They had been there forever, and I didn't want that for myself.
Right. Okay.
I've always felt that I was a trendsetter.
But you found your way back.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't supposed. You know, it's funny because the only reason I went back, I'm gonna be honest, the real reason I went back for me, because I wanted to work with Lauryn.
Okay, you wanted to work with Lauryn
because I felt cheated. I saw the greatness in the Fugees. They just didn't have the right record.
Right.
And I would say that on the calls. I know I used to talk to the man. I'm like, man, if they get the right record, they out of here.
Was this before the score?
No.
Okay.
Fuji, this is the first one. Fuji Live.
Fuji Live.
I worked that. And I was like, you know, this is college-y creative, but this group is dope. They just don't have a record, you know. Right. And Score comes next, and they got plenty of records. So and I'm gone. I'm at Interscope now, and the next album comes. And I'm like, damn. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm big on breaking acts. I really always like that. And then when I see an act that has it, I mean, I was always the rep that if the single they gave us, I didn't think it was it, I would go through the album and call, you know, New York, LA, and be like, man, we working the wrong record. You see what I'm saying? So I was always that guy. And, you know, because I would be with DJs and stuff. And so what I would get an album and like, I would literally like go and, you know, and sit up with different DJs and buy them drinks for half the night. And, you know, they playing different songs off the album and stuff and, you know, in the club, you know. And so that the strip club culture of Atlanta gave me a tremendous cheat sheet that I don't think many people had. And that's another thing that people don't really realize, the strip club culture, because in most places you only can be able to play ups because it's a club. But because it's a strip club, they're playing slow, mids, and fasts.
Right.
So you really get a chance to play pretty much all the different tracks on the album if you know your club, especially at that time, because it wasn't about going to Magic City. And a lot of reps used to try to do that stuff. And I knew the right holes in the walls where the right working people would be at.
Now, you're a renegade, brother, because I talked to you about it, and we're going to talk about it in a few seconds. But first, I want to let everybody know, if you're checking us out on Facebook, do hit the like. Checking us out on YouTube, hit the subscription button, as well as the thumbs up. Shout out to William Barnes, my man from VSU. What's up, my brother? My man Julius Baker from hometown. He said, what up? Oh, hey, Wanda talking to you, Parrish. Parrish, good to see you. Gotta run.
See you, Wanda.
Hey, I call you a renegade because we had these conversations. You had to put a couple of people in place because they were picking the wrong singles, and some of the music almost didn't make it to the radio station. Let's talk about that.
Man, that's kind of like, I just feel like that's my career, man. There's been so many records and artists that I've had to like fight for songs. Literally. I mean, just Demet and I were having a conversation about that, and that's a whole other segment that we would have to do together and just talk about like, damn, wasn't going to happen, but we had to call an audible and let them think we were running this play, but we're really running that play,
right?
You know, and it was a lot of that, you know, whether the artists be.
I mean, can you give us one example, like real quick? Now, you don't have to go into the full story, but give us an example. The label released this song.
Miseducation, Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
So I won't go deep into that story, but the all-time greatest album to me was Miseducation, Lauryn Hill.
Right.
When I finally got that, I was mad at Mike Malden. So when he sees this, he'll remember that story. I was mad at him because I didn't hear it. I had to have a conversation with my pop counterpart, and he didn't like any of the records. So I'm like, damn, I ain't even heard the album.
Right.
And so Mike's, oh man, let me get it to you. So I go home with it that night, right? And I called Demet and I said, man, it's the best I've ever heard, man. It is really taking my emotions from like highs to lows to happy to sad,
right,
to up. I said, it's the best. He said, man, get the fuck out of here. You just came from Death Row. Y'all was killing it. I said, yeah, we were. But I'm talking about this piece, this art piece.
Yeah.
And they was like, well, the pop side don't like it. And like, what the
Not
fuck?
for the pop side.
And I was like, man, fuck them. And it's like, well, Lauryn is mad because that's how they just released their song, Can't Take My Eyes Off You, and put it on her album, and Lauryn ain't talking to nobody. You know, remember that? Can't Take
right.
From that sound. That was on the movie soundtrack. If you look
Love
at
Jones.
that, yeah, no, that was from this white movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's from.
You're referring to you're talking about Sweetest Thing.
Sweetest Thing. Okay.
That was on the Love Jones soundtrack.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking about. Yeah, but the song that I'm talking about is it was on this white movie soundtrack. Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, and they put that on her album. And I heard I wasn't in on that meeting, but I heard she went ballistic and she cut off all communications. Mm-hmm. And so so Columbia was trying to stall the project to try to figure out what to do, and I thought it was a masterpiece. And so we were at a stalemate, and what I did was I did some pure shit, but I cleared it with my guys, but the general white folks at the label didn't know. But when I was at Death Row, I was second in charge to Shook, and so I dealt with all from BET to MTV to anything marketing, Death Row stuff. Shook had the studio, but my job was to market and promote the artists. And so I said, this, I just bet on myself. I said, I got these relationships because I handle pop, rhythm radio, as well as urban at Death Row. If you wanted an interview with Snoop or Tupac, which these guys got those kind of interviews, you had to come through me. You didn't go through Interscope. They no longer had anything. So I'm one of the few black guys that got to deal with pop and rhythm radio.
Right.
And this is 1996. They were not used to dealing with black kids.
Right.
Not at all. That I can assure you.
So the pop stations had to go through you in order to have a conversation with Pac or Snoop or Dre or any folks.
Well, Dre wasn't there anymore because
he's already gone.
That's when him and
Suge
You know,
Started.
had split up. So, you know, I was always professional about it, but you know, you'd be surprised the attitudes that a lot of the white executives had, and if an artist wasn't available or something, I just call Interscope. You're right. Okay, good luck with that one. So
I'll
then
go over
after,
I'll go over your head. Let me speak to
yeah,
the manager.
yeah, and they found out that the only one over my head was you. Like, you know, Interscope, like, we can't help you with that. So they had to circle right back around, you know, and I wouldn't be a asshole about it because it's not about me, it's about the artist and the music that I'm promoting. It's never about me.
How
So
did you because you're a West Coast cat, but
oh,
you
hold
spent
on. Let me finish this point because I got to
okay,
tell
great,
you this because I
great,
was getting to what Lorenzo talked about. So I had relationships at Rhythm and Radio,
right.
and I actually did a takeover with Camille. And first time Snoop and I brought the whole crew, Nate and everybody, and we did a takeover at Camille. And they were so hyped, they were pumping it up. And it's the first time Death Row comes to Camille. They got so nervous they didn't want us to they didn't want to do it at the station because they didn't want people coming up to the station. So we got to do it at a secret location. What could it be? You know what we did? You know what the secret location was?
Where?
My parents' house in Berkeley, California. I had my mom make some gumbo, and you know, Pops had dominoes out and stuff, and you know,
Right.
and Sway and Nick set up in the living room. True story. Sway was doing the morning show
Okay.
then, and Sway interviewed them in my living room, and
That's what's up.
Sway
so
and Tech, right? It was Sway
yeah,
and Tech.
yeah, in the
Yep.
morning.
Yep.
And they interviewed him in my parents' living room. And I probably shouldn't have did that because I messed up my money because Snoop had been talking shit and we were supposed to play basketball and it just kept the number kept going up. And so I think it got up to like 10 grand. And you know, I was like, well, mama, you better bring your cash. But when he did that interview and he saw all my shit up at my parents' house, he's like, man, he was trying to get me.
Trying to
All
hustle
my
him.
all state and all of this shit.
Uh,
Oregon State. He's like, oh, nah, man, we ain't playing.
You about to hustle him. You about to hustle him.
Yeah, man,
That's
hey,
right.
man,
That's right.
So
I ain't playing you.
so you were, I mean, you're a West Coast cat. You
Yeah.
spent a lot of time on the East Coast. Then you got back over to the West Coast again. During the time where that whole East Coast, West Coast, and it was more so Bad Boy and Death Row. How did you manage the Death Row label, knowing that you got relationships on the East Coast, you got to get those
Yeah.
records played? As an executive, under only person bigger than you at Death Row was Suge. How did you navigate that?
I mean, it was so different for me, man. And I think my story is so different because my relationship with Suge was so different. Like, that's my dude.
Okay.
Like, on everything. Like, he saw stuff in me that I didn't see in myself.
Okay.
So I got to give him credit for making me an executive. I wasn't a VP. Suge made me a VP. This is real.
Okay.
It was Suge Knight, like, motherfucker, you the best one on the staff. Like, you should. And I just thought, I knew I was good. But I was a young man having the time of his life, single, no kids, living in Atlanta, driving a drop top vet, just bought my first townhouse types, you know.
Right. You were living life.
I was living life, man, having, to me, I live to break this music because I loved it. You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
so I wasn't really thinking like that. To my
Now, is there
detriment.
any truth to the Vanilla Ice story and how he got his masters?
Well, you know, I wasn't working with him then, but he should have told me a few stories, man.
Right.
And one thing that I will say and especially on Suge's behalf, from most of the experiences that I had with him, because I've never been around him where it was like he was fighting anything like that. You know, don't bring no bullshit. He never would even bring any bullshit around me anyway.
Okay.
Just he had that's the respect that he had for me, and so it was business. He wanted to talk about the future of his business. He wanted somebody that he can trust to and like strategy. What are we gonna do? This, that. What you think about this? Like I thought I was coming when he hired me. I thought I was coming to promote some records at radio.
I gotta do a Nori. But is the story true?
no, but listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Like I'm getting to this.
Okay.
I thought
All
I
right.
was coming to promote, you know, to put together the staff. And man, I got there. He's like, motherfucker, no. Yes, you said you done. Didn't you hire staff? Let them motherfuckers do what they need. I need you in this meeting with me. So I find myself in these meetings.
Okay.
Yeah. From everybody from Run DMC on down, man. And it was just amazing to see people bring him his problems. Their problems. I was like blown away. I had no idea. Because you on the outside looking in, you like, damn, he just starting shit everywhere. But I started to see that people was damn bringing him in to start shit. Man, I got a bad contract. Can you help me with this? Can you talk to this?
Right. Heard those stories, right?
Yeah,
right.
you know. Yeah. So he was taking, I told him bad risks. When I got there, he would ask me a lot of times, man, I don't think you should do that. Like, and he's like, yeah, nah, you know. But when you're on a come up, I understood initially why he did. Look at the Vanilla Ice situation. You brought that up. Okay. Say you wrote Ice Ice Baby. Your name is Ice T. So that could have been you. That could have been your idea, Lorenzo.
Right.
You wrote Ice Ice Baby. Okay.
Right.
But you can't rap. So you gave it to, you know, this other dude that you met in the studio. Man, I got this song, man. And he raps it and that shit goes crazy, right? And then he says, fuck you, Lorenzo. Fuck you. I ain't giving you shit. He put his name on the song. He got bodyguards and shit now. He famous. You ain't got nothing. But you heard like, you know, somebody was telling you about one of the homies at the house. Like man, this is dude Shook, man. Like he can step to the, you know, them bodyguards that they got. Like he can brush sleep, you know, like, and so you go meet with him. And then he says like, damn, man, that's fucked up. But, you know, so you gonna hire me? You don't have no money to hire him, right? Okay, so what, you know, so all right, make me your business partner. And then now he's not just stealing from you, he's stealing from me too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ain't that how it works?
Yeah.
If we are partners,
yeah,
we do a joint venture together, right? So now we 50-50.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go get our money.
On my way.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So you know, I wasn't there. That's before I even knew the man.
Right.
But I heard he told me part of the stories and stuff, and he get vilified for it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like he got vilified for it. But
go ahead. So you were at that time, you were, of course, at Death Row as an executive. How'd they pull you back at Columbia, man?
Man, Suge was in jail, man, and he got denied. He got denied his first appeal, and you know, I didn't like working there without him being there. Just being honest.
True.
Just wasn't the same. Energy wasn't the same, and it was just, you know, I just didn't feel the vibe were right. The reason why I came there,
right?
You know, and so Mike Martin had been calling me, trying to get me back. Jermaine Dupri's dad, and he was now president of Black Music at that. Now they had promoted him,
right?
And then I had been hearing through the wire that Lauryn had an album coming. Now I told you I was a huge Lauryn fan, man.
Right.
I was like, no way I'm gonna get left out of that, you know.
Right.
And, but they didn't bring me there for that. You know, they brought me there to break this new group that they was founded with. And they flew me to New York, man. They flew me to damn New York. And man, I go into this room and they got the lights out and they putting on this video and everybody's looking at me, man, while I'm watching the fucking video. This damn group and they damn failed and they got a remix. The group is Destiny's Child.
These girls right here.
And the remix was the Wyclef remix of No No No.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's the first time I heard the remix. I saw the video. They just played. They went straight. They didn't play the song. They went straight to the video.
Right.
Can you break this?
Hey, Parrish, were you with them when they came through BET for the first time?
Yep. When we did the Young Soul Power tour, remember that?
Yep, I remember that. I
Mhm.
remember that.
I
The
introduced
young
them.
buck.
I was one of the one introduced them on stage. We took turns.
Uh-huh.
I think it was me, Demet, and somebody else. But we would take turns. Like one day, somebody would introduce Kimberly Scott. Then the
Right.
next executive would introduce
That's right.
Destiny's
Kimberly
Child.
Scott. Oh
And
my
then
goodness.
there was three of them. It was Destiny's Child. It was Kimberly Scott.
Remember Kimberly Scott?
Jagged
I
Edge.
still got the CD.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you,
The
I
turns
remember,
introducing them.
but
on
you know
stage.
what? I remember they came through town because they went on a promotional tour together, right? That's the Child and Jagged Edge. Because at the time, Mike Archie was working.
Yeah, Mike was he's a
Yeah.
mid-Atlantic rep.
He was the Mid-Atlantic rep, and I actually went up to I was at the Richmond performance, and then I went up to DC for the DC performance. So yeah, man, you
Yeah,
got a
that
chance
was
to work with the biggest pop artist
yeah,
ever.
yeah. You know, it was crazy. It's just to see the growth of the girls. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of all of them in their own ways because they were young, and just to see, I saw what they could be, and I knew we could do that record. They had failed on the first one, and what's funny is I was like, yeah, this is easy. But y'all got this group, Jagged Edge, and the white people to me like, don't worry about that. I'm like, damn. I'm like, but I like that. Gotta be record. Oh, we tried. Don't worry about that. If you can get this Destiny's Child record, we are happy. And I told Mike, I was like, no, we got to do both. And they allowed me to re-engage with the Jagged Edge. So I'm actually more proud because I felt that, although the original Destiny's Child single failed, I honestly knew that we can get that record.
But Parrish, let me ask you something. They were struggling pushing them until the remix of No 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 came out, right?
Correct.
That's what propelled them, right? Okay. Yeah, that was it.
Basically, what you're saying is there was almost no Beyonce.
They were on the verge.
They were on the verge of
right.
The Beehive would have never existed.
No, literally, true story. Literally, her father would call me late 2-3 times a week and ask me, Parrish, is this really gonna happen? Come on, Frag, because he's Frag, is this gonna happen? Come on, off the record, is this really gonna happen? And he would tell me all the stories of the deals they've been with Daryl Simmons and this and that. I said, man, don't worry about it. I got it. And man, I probably had at least 30 of those calls with him. At least, at least 30. I'm probably being on the not being, probably more than that. But,
and then the next single was Bills after that?
No.
That was the Writings on the Wall album?
I don't remember which album, man.
Okay.
Like I've had so many records.
Right. I can imagine.
Run together.
But I think Bills was the next single because there was so much drama surrounding that song because there was one of the lines in there where they were, they wanted guys to pay their bills. So I remember when they came by and interviewed them at BET, they didn't want me necessarily to talk about or ask.
No, I don't think bills. It was something else because the next single, we shot the video over there by Piedmont Park. They shot it in Atlanta.
Okay.
That I do know because I had shipped I had a Lexus truck, the 450 back, this when and I had some
Lexus LS 4.5.
I had like some 20s on it, and people we didn't have 20s on trucks out here at that time.
Right.
And so I drove to the video shoot, right? And then Beyonce and them, they just mobbed my well, let me get in. I just, Matthew was like, oh shit, man, why you do that? Why she gonna be asking for one of these now, but you know, so that I do remember. And that was, so I don't know, remember what the song was, but we shot a video right by Piedmont Park. I do remember that.
But
And we had brought some people in town, because I remember bringing some people down. We brought some radio people down, I think, or something like that. But I do remember that.
But when you, as an executive in the business and being able to watch some of the things that you saw on the backside, how many of these artists were that we know in household names now that almost didn't happen because people that didn't look like us, didn't believe in us, and they were controlling the marketing dollars. So when it came down to it, I mean, you and I had conversations about one of those rap records that they didn't want to go out first because they wanted to team it up with the pop star, and the guy that was running it was like, but it was one of the biggest hip hop records ever. I ain't calling out the stuff because I figured if you ain't gonna talk about it, I ain't gonna call it out.
Well, that was Lauren. We got away from it, but it was Lauren. It was Lauren's project, and that was the Death Row story I said, because I had those pop relationships. So what I did basically is I called KMEL in the Bay Area, and which had a lot of pull in the rhythm world. You know, I think Joy was the PD at that time, and I had did my Death Row takeover with him. And so he was, you know, so when I told him I had the new Lauryn Hill album, and so he got excited. Oh my God, Parrish, you gonna come play it for me? And I said, not only that, I want to come play it for everybody at the station. So I flew from New York. I said, don't tell nobody though, because you know they had the pop rep for Columbia handled KMEL. This is not Death Row now. So I flew my black behind out to under the guise that I'm going to visit my parents in Berkeley, and just pop across the bridge and go to KMEL, and played that Lauryn Hill album for the whole station. And it was amazing. The standing ovation at the station. And I swear to you, by the time I got in I didn't even hit the fucking bridge yet, okay? And my fucking phone was blowing up from New York 212.
What you didn't do?
They was, what the fuck did you just do?
Wow.
Hey,
the top guy was, man, how could you have this meeting without one of our reps in there? I'm like, I told him, I told Jerry, like, man, you said you didn't like the record. I just happened to be in, I'm visiting my parents, man. I'm visiting, that's my story I'm sticking to. I'm visiting my parents in Berkeley, and I had the album with me, so I just popped over and saw my guy, Joy, so I really went,
So Parrish, you're saying... So Parrish, you're saying Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is better than the songs of The Key of Life and Michael Jackson's Thriller?
Well, for its time, songs in The Key of Life, I grew up on that.
Yeah.
Songs in The Key of Life is better than Thriller. I'm sorry, Thriller. Just because you sold the most. Selling the most don't make you the best.
Right.
I really don't like that narrative.
Right.
Because you sold the most, make it the best. Who the fuck says that? That's some bullshit. So just because you sold the most does not make you the best. Okay. So that's because a bigger part of humanity might like a certain thing because it does not make it the best. So Thriller was not close to me. It's one of the best albums. Okay, it was good. Okay, it was very good. But best, oh man, get out of here, man.
Because we know you're renegade, and you will tell artists they wrong too. What about Money Ain't a Thing?
That was my favorite. Certain records gives you confidence, and so by that time.
Because you went at it and said, "Hey, you wrong."
Yeah, me and JD had it out about that.
Talk about it.
I mean, it was never personal. I liked.
Of course not. Of course not.
I really do. And sometimes I thought he might have thought I was being antagonistic, and I wasn't. I don't look at music the way that they look at it. I don't care who's on it, who produced it. Is this shit hot? Lorenzo,
Right.
I had to deal with motherfuckers like you.
Right.
And that shit ain't hot. You see, the shit that y'all would say to me, you would never say to the artist. And see, this is, or to the artist manager. And see, this is the part of the business that these other people, they don't understand. You know, they don't understand that that guys like me or where the rubber meets the road, I got to hear the bad news about this creative thing that they've made. And
Right.
other people saying it's a piece of shit.
Right.
And if I can't figure out a way to prove them wrong, you know, it's not going to get heard. Right. And so I've always felt that I wanted to give artists a fair chance to get their art heard, because it's art, you know. And so that's why I said, you know, the highest selling art is not the best art. That's bullshit. Mm-hmm. Just because your painting sold the most, you think that makes it the best? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. You know, money's important, but it ain't the most important.
Right.
You feel me? So, you know, I just watched a lot of artists lose their mojo trying to sell the most.
Okay.
And that's the wrong barometer. I just always felt that you should not be chasing. If it happens, you know, it happens. But, you know, this is an art form, and the moment you change, you change it into commercialism from the creation.
That's the death of your art. Yep.
Yes. Yep. And you're heading to the end. I've just seen it so many times. And, you know, you really can't, it's hard to tell an artist that. And, you know, and when you in positions like mine and you've seen the career cycle of an artist, and when they need the help, they don't ask for it. And then when they ask for the help, it's too late.
Yeah.
So throughout your years in working with all kinds of artists, what were some of your favorites? The people to work with?
Jeez, man. I mean, when you've been doing this 30 years plus, man, it runs. But, you know, Baby Girl is probably at the top, you know.
Right here?
Yeah. You know, man, you know, I just thought we were going to be great. Like, I really thought we were going to change everything. Like, she believed in me. Like, you know, it was like, I didn't know. You know, when I first met Aaliyah, she was like, these bitches is taking my style. I'm like, what? Because I, you know, I'm a dude. I'm not following women's styles like that. You know, I mean, you know, I'm like, I see a woman, oh, she's cute, that's a night outfit and stuff. But I'm not seeing who originating. I wasn't going that hard, you know? So when she told me that, I had to start going back and looking at videos on my lap. Right. I'm trying to do my homework now. She made me do my homework. And I'm like, damn, she right, you know? Yeah. And I had to put together a marketing plan for her. And her mom liked it. And then her mom, Diane, she says, I like this. You know, you're all right, young man, but I'm getting a little older and you got a lot of stuff on here. She going through it. And she said, okay, she'll do everything on here. And I'm like, all right, good. But, you know, my daughter is part owner of Blackground Records, you know. And I'm like, I was like, I didn't know. She's like, yeah, I don't know if my brother told you, but yeah. And being that she's part owner of this company, it's important enough for her to be there. I need you to be there with her since you setting this up. And I'm like, huh? My boy Jay, look at that.
We can surprise you on this one.
Yeah, man. So that's why people was like, you always with me. I had to be. Her mama made me.
Her mama didn't trust everyone. Her mama did not trust everyone, for sure.
I mean, it was crazy, man. I mean, my experience with Baby Girl was so different. And I think I gained her trust early on because, you know, Wendy was coming at her. It was, you know, I don't know if Wendy was friends with R. Kelly at that time. I don't know what it was, but she was on the radio talking reason about it because the movie was coming. I didn't listen. I'm hearing people tell me this. And then her mom tells me, and then Aaliyah says, like, why is she saying this stuff? And so now we got this album coming, we got this Try Again in New York, and now Wendy wants to interview. You know, Wendy throw her weight around, and then they were like, what should we do?
And for the folks that don't understand, that's Wendy Williams.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Gossip Queen. And
yes.
back in the 90s, she talked trash that was before social media.
Yes.
She was about as big as Twitter back then.
Yeah. So it was crazy.
Yes.
Then you had Miss Jones. Miss Jones was going in on her.
Oh, true. You had Miss Jones too. That's right.
And, you know, and so it was at that time. And I think I won her trust when we did the interview with Hot 97 with Miss Jones. And you know, when you go to Hot 97, when they only look at you before the interview starts, you know some bullshit about to go down. They be into the papers and shit. It's a commercial break, and they ain't looking at you. They doing the board and shit. But that shit was going on. And Aaliyah just elbowing me like, oh, look at it. You see this? I'm like, don't worry about that, you know. So she ran into commercials, and then I was like, you're not gonna speak to me, Mr. Jonesy. This is me. You're not gonna speak. And she gave me that look. She didn't really remember, but I had to remind her, like, you know, I'm still the same Parrish. Remember, Buster Records. Like, I took you and Dougie Fresh all around for fucking a week and a half, and
Right.
like she saw a ghost.
Right. She forgot.
Forgot. So all of the with everything you want to say on this thing, I'm sitting next to baby girl I'm with her. And then so Aaliyah, when her whole strategy had to change on how that interview was gonna go.
Right.
Okay. I know shit too. So it was, you know, I'm sitting next to baby girl, we in there, you know, and when I told her that, she just that whole thing and she had to switch up that interview. We get outside and Aaliyah was like, what did you know? You just spooked her. I was like, yeah, I worked with her in the beginning when, you know, she was just getting started. So I didn't think she wanted to start throwing any mud because it wasn't gonna be good. And from that day on, do you know every interview she ever had, I was with her, she made me come in there with her. Yeah. Even when we went to DC.
That's right.
Simpson. He had all the lights out. You remember that?
Yes, I remember. That's where this picture.
She would not go in there.
Yep.
And Donnie's like, no record reps. He don't let record reps in. And she's like, oh no, if he's not going, I'm not going in it. Mm-hmm. True story.
Yeah.
So when I say the relationship and what it was, people don't really understand that. Like, she would not do an interview with Donnie Simpson, brother.
And at that time, Donnie was king.
Yes. Like, Parrish is coming in here with me. Oh, we ain't doing this interview.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so, you know, that's why I say baby girl, because she just trusted me. And then lastly, we had number one record when people didn't believe us. We could do it with Try Again. Even Virgin, like, I told her we was gonna do it, and she went. She followed the whole plan, man. And I had a great staff, and you know, we did it by ourselves. Virgin didn't help us. Matter of fact, they so much didn't believe in the record. They told us, we had a big meeting in Virgin. She's like, it's like, we just don't understand, Barry. We're going to increase your budget. Let Parrish hire a few more chaps. They were from London. Let Parrish hire a few more chaps. That's what they said.
They said chaps.
Chaps. That's what they said, you know.
Yeah.
And so I hired 2 white guys. You know, a pop, you know, to be my head of pop and one to be head of my rhythm, and to work with would be my co-head of rhythm, to work with Brad Davidson, because I had a black head of rhythm. And I felt he needed, because some white programmers was going to need to have a white guy go in there. So I hired Michael Patton. Me and Mike Patton's still great friends today. Matter of fact, I saw him about 3 or 4 months ago when I was in Boston. You know, we went out and we hung out, you know. great guy.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I'm one of the few guys that had, you know, some white guys working for me, you know, and, you know, and we made history with Try Again. So those are the things that made Aaliyah and I relationship what it was. And, you know, in any relationship, you know, it's ups and downs. And, you know, when she put out her last album, the first single I didn't agree with. And Timbaland and I had an
What was
argument.
that single? Because that picture that we just posted was from that album release party that we had in Washington, D.C.
I know.
And that was actually a month before she passed.
Yes.
When was the last time you saw her, and how did you hear about her passing?
Well, you know, that has always been one of the hardest things for me is just I've ever had to do was deal with Aaliyah and Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, obviously, I'm at Quality Control, Takeoff. It was just very eerie, you know, for me, you know, because I've, you know, just playing a big part in these artists' careers and spending so much time with them and traveling with them. And, you know, it feel like it takes a part of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I snuck out the song on Aaliyah. She, you know, the first single, it failed. And I told Timbaland it wasn't the right one. And me and Timbaland argued. We had one of our biggest arguments. Me and Timbaland used to argue all the time, though. You know, I love Tim. Shout out to Timbo. Timbo's my guy.
What
in the house.
Tim would tell you we argued.
But what was the single, Paris? Do you remember?
I know.
What was?
It didn't work. Shit. We need a resolution. I told Timbaland, I said, Timbaland, black people don't say resolution. We don't talk like that.
Yeah.
This is the argument Timbaland and I had. I said, it can't be the first single. Oh, nah, man, you missing the beat. That's like, man, your progressions, the beat is crazy, but the hook is wrong. You're saying resolution, and black people don't use that word. So how am I going to have a hit record to black folks with a word they don't use? It's not going to happen. And I was right. That resolution didn't go well. And Aaliyah went to, I think, Europe or something for a promo run. And so when she was gone, I did what I did at Interscope. I had that idea. I said, you know what? I'm going to switch this shit up because at that time, we had albums would come back. You know, there's retail. If that first single don't do well.
Right. Paris, you telling me that that's when you came with Rock the Boat? Oh my goodness.
I leaked it behind her back.
Oh yeah, and we jumped all over it.
Yes, I leaked that.
We jumped all over that, man.
Yeah, I did it.
Oh man.
Yeah. And Aaliyah heard about it and called me and cussed me out for more. I said, my ass
One of our biggest records.
I said, my ass about to get fired, boy. Oh shit, this shit is about to be bad.
Yeah.
True story. And her mom, they were all mad at me. And man, she comes back. And I guess her friends, and she's hearing it all over the radio, and her friends, I know her friends were on her bumper, like, girl, you telling it, tell them. And so I go to 106 in Park because we were giving away the Escalade. I don't know if y'all remember that episode.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh my goodness, that's right.
I'm nervous as shit.
Yes, I remember that.
Only one, you know, because I'm the one who takes her to beat. All those.
Right.
Right.
So I bring my ass up there and you know, she's already in her dressing room, and I'm coming in there, and I'm like, I'm nervous, man, you know, because I hadn't talked to her since she cussed me out.
Right.
And so I come downstairs, and you know how it was so crowded. You know, you go down into that dressing room, and her mom is outside, and she sees me, and she runs up to me, and gives me the biggest hugs, and apologizes to me.
Right.
Oh, we were so wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, you were so right, Parrish. I'm so sorry. Aaliyah wants to see you. And she took me back to the dressing room, and Aaliyah gave me the biggest hug and a kiss. Like, Parrish, you so. And that I felt was like one of my crowning moments, really, because you know, you put them nuts on the line, brother, like that, brother. at this level, you know, it could go bad.
Right.
And it went extremely better than I could ever have.
You trusted your gut. You trusted your gut, man.
Yeah,
and
but
and and so much of that is what we all three of us used a great deal in this industry. When we would hear a song, we would say, you know what, that's a hit record, or
mhm,
that's trash, you know. And yeah, I remember that first single, and I
mhm,
remember not liking it either.
mhm,
And at that album release party, which was the last time I laid eyes on her,
mhm, mhm.
hearing the whole album, and I think I
Yes,
do, you know, remember there were some other songs that were
yes,
better. I can't say that I
yes.
heard Rock the Boat
Mhm,
there, but I
mhm.
remember there were other songs that I liked
Yeah.
more. And
Mhm.
I think that was the last time
Yeah.
I've seen you too,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
at that album release party,
Yeah.
you know? So yeah, but you trusting your gut and having an ear, which a lot of
Yes.
times doesn't even exist in this business
Yeah.
anymore,
Nah, man.
you know?
It really was it, man. And I was fortunate enough to had to been through that with Tupac. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? So like God set certain things up because after when Tupac passed, we had just put out the album, Machiavelli. And you know, and so much was going on. And then, you know, I don't know if you remember, you talked to me. I think I interviewed with, I don't know if it was your show, but when Tupac was still in the hospital, I was the one giving updates at
Ah,
radio,
okay.
talking to radio stations,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
all of them.
Yeah.
That was me. And
Yeah, no, I wasn't on the air that day.
okay.
It
So,
wasn't, yeah, because it happened. I
but
think it
this
was
was
what,
later on. No,
yeah.
like during the week, he was
Oh,
still in
okay.
the hospital
Right,
and
right, right.
he hadn't passed
Later
yet.
on that, you're
So,
right. You're right.
you know,
You're right. I do. Okay. Later on.
yeah,
That because it happened on a Friday night. That
yeah,
Saturday, that's when we found out
yeah, yeah,
about it. And
yeah.
then that week, yeah, we were taking updates. I do remember
Yeah,
that. I do
Oh
remember
yeah.
yeah,
that now.
I
And
remember.
so, yeah, so I was the one giving updates.
Yeah.
So, but after Pac passed, Jimmy Iovine puts out the video, "Live and Die in L.A."
Mm,
I'm pissed because he didn't ask me. I didn't think that should be the second single.
right.
Right.
So I go to meet with Jimmy, and I'm mad. He's like, "What do you want us to do? Just the only video we had." And I'm like, "So that could wait. Like we could have made another video because you got to remember, I worked at Interscope before I worked at Death Row.
Right.
Right. Right.
We put out a whole album on Tupac when he was in jail, did videos and everything.
And
Part two.
Paris, were you there at the same time AD, Anthony Daughtry was there too?
But
AD?
AD came after.
After you? Okay.
He
Okay.
wasn't part of the original crew. He
Okay.
came later on.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
he came later on. So when we did that, you know, with Pac, I was like, man, we did that, Jimmy, when you know Dear Man Pac was locked up then. So he you know, you forget like I was on Interscope staff, so you can't tell me about what we did.
Right.
Like I was the one having to do it, you know. So
I was in the
like,
room.
man,
Right.
yeah, I'm out in the field. You in LA. I know what we did. I'm the one who always had the most Tupac airplay on the staff. This is a
Mm.
fact. Of everybody on the staff, I always led in airplay on all those records. It was me.
Right.
On all of them. So
Man.
I knew what it was. And so when Jimmy told me that, I was like, that just didn't flow. And so we had an argument about it. And so I'm mad. And then they had just locked up Suge. And so I didn't have him to facilitate this. And I had to make a decision. I felt like we were almost going to be sabotaged because I didn't know what's going to happen with Suge. And you give me a record that's not going to go. Live and Die in LA is not going to be a national record. I got a staff and I got an album out. If Machiavelli comes back in the stores, I might have to fire everybody.
Wow.
Okay, so that's how critical it is. So I have to make a decision, and the decision I made at that time was that I'm switching the fucking single.
Right.
So at that time, we didn't have CD burners, gentlemen. So I had an associate.
I think we had one in Baltimore. I think
Yeah.
we were the first. Pat Garrett was out. Pat Garrett was our director,
But they
production
wasn't even
director.
out yet. They wasn't even invented. I had to go to a manufacturing plant
All
and
right.
have a single manufacturer.
What year was this? What year was this?
This was 96.
I think we had the first.
You might have.
You know who Pat Garrett is, right? He's
Yes, I
Mr.
knew that.
Voice. So he
Yes.
was our production director at V103, and he was the first to have one of those CD recorders because I was one of the first people to have the air
Yeah, you know
checks.
what? They might
Yeah.
have the CD recorders, but you couldn't, you have to still put the laser printing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
You can't, I
Right.
can't send y'all records, CDs that, I
Right.
gotta have it.
But
So
I was the first air personality DJ to have his air check on a
okay.
CD.
See,
Because I killed him at the Urban Network. I
Death Row
killed him
logo on it and everything.
Yes.
I went to, we got to deal with Interscope. I went to a indie distribution place in Tennessee and had some radio singles burnt up, had it edited and burnt and sent it out.
Wow.
And the song was called Hail Mary. And
Come with me.
And that shit went stupid.
Run quick,
It went stupid. And that is which, and New York had it in the top 5. So I get a call from Jimmy Iovine and I play dumb. Like, shit, Jimmy, the album was out. What are you asking me about? Why are they playing a record?
This is hilarious.
See, to me, they called in the 08. When the album comes out, why are you asking me this question? The fucking album is out. They can play anything they want. The album is in the store. Because, some guys are like, we could cease and desist. I'm like, yo, you can't cease and desist on a record that's in the stores.
Right.
But Paris, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did commercial radio embrace Tupac's singles before his death? Or it wasn't until after he died where they started playing his singles?
No, he had some success. It's market by market.
Like Brenda Had a Baby or
Played all that.
Dear Mama.
Okay.
Come on, man.
The one with
I Get Around.
Until My Homies Come.
Yeah, but that's the
your head up.
That was the first one. You talking about Brenda's Got a Baby? That's the first album. I wasn't there. I got hired, and when I came in, we was partying to to Pop. He had the video, they had the pool party and stuff.
Right.
Like, I'm like, y'all sleeping on this record? This record is hot. And so when I got to Interscope, I was really the main one pushing it. I had the guys on the staff was mad at my ass. Man, stop trying to push that record. We wanted another one. I'm like, man, this I Get Around is crazy.
Right.
That's the lifestyle I was living. I was getting around. I was young, and I'm like them.
Round and round.
I got a quick Pac story. I had the chance to interview him. I'm doing nights at Wowie, 6 to 10, and Pac comes in. And this is around the time where he just finished doing Poetic Justice. Come walking in like that. Brenda's got Baby's Hot. Till My Homies comes because he's performing at this club called Picasso's, right? So he comes in, we do the interview, we talk about Poetic Justice, and then I ask him about Janet Jackson, right? So I said, what was it like working with Janet Jackson?
Yeah.
Pac tells me, he says, well, I can tell you one thing, dog. I know what her tongue tastes like.
That's fine. They was mad at him about that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Talk about that, because there were rumors that she made him take a test or an AIDS test and all that.
That was her. I think that was her people. I didn't work with him then. I just heard the story.
But what did you hear, Parrish? What did you hear?
Oh, shit. Like, because when I came, you got to understand, I came when the double album was out. Okay, so now that, but I had been dealing with
California Love album.
Yeah, yeah, but I had dealt with Pac at Interscope,
right?
So then he moved to Atlanta. That picture that you see of me and Pac was pre-Death Row. That wasn't a Death Row picture. That was a Paris Johnson at Interscope Records picture.
Okay,
and that's after Freaknik of '94. I want to say
this one right here. This is Interscope.
Yes, and working at Interscope, he had just performed on stage. That's his was the manager at the time, with Tiny, and we were in the kitchen. You could probably see the pots and pans on the side. We in the kitchen, I got my own. I got my A's hat on representing, but we're in Atlanta,
Right.
After Freaknik in '94, he was having so much legal problems, and he was trying to make extra money. I was like, nigga, like, let me, I'm a book you. You know, I went to Morehouse, and some of my boys wanted to do a party, and so I'm gonna do a party. One of my boys is gonna pay you to come and perform, and he's like, run it, you know. And so he came and performed, and killed it. And that's the night I knew things had changed for him. Because I had been to other events with him before, and you know, shit, Pac was on his thugging shit. You know, niggas in there, yeah. But at that show, the women was going stupid. I was like, wait a minute. I literally, when I closed the door in that kitchen, when we walked in, and I was closing the door, like there was these two women that was trying to swing on me. Trying to get back. I mean, literally throwing hands. I'm like, closing the door. I came back here. I was like, damn, yo, this movie then took you up a whole different notch now. I said, this is different. And I remember telling him that then, you know. So you fast forward, 2.5 years later when Suge hired me, Pac was one of my biggest supporters because he knew me from, those days, and I was a real one. I took him to interview with Ryan Cameron at V, and he didn't have a record out. And Mike Roberts didn't even let him in the station. It's another Tupac story. I'm telling you. They didn't even let him in the station.
He wouldn't let him in the station?
No. Wow. Mike, called me. I'm at home on Friday evening.
And he had already done movies?
No.
Oh, okay.
The Rim hadn't came out yet.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So he did Juice, but he hadn't did Above the Rim.
Okay.
And so, we didn't even have an album or anything out. He was just making money. And I get a call, and they're like, Parrish, this damn promoter and damn bought time at the station. You know how it is at radio. They want to act. If I buy this package, it's come with an interview. Come with the interview.
I'm
getting
heat from that right now.
Yeah, the promoter was on their ass. He wanted Pac's interview to prove that he was coming to that damn club. And so I get a call from Mike, man, we ain't letting him up here if you ain't gonna bring him. I know you ain't promoting the record. This is a favor for us because our sales staff did this, and you would be doing me a favor. And I'm like, man, Pac, my boy, fuck it. I was gonna do something else that night. I'm like, all right. So I meet him up at the radio station. And he had all his niggas with him and shit. And they're like, you niggas cannot come up, but he was cool. He's like, y'all motherfuckers sit down and shut up. And, they all sat down downstairs. And we went upstairs, it was nighttime. Everybody, and he did Ryan Cameron. I think Ryan has a skit up online about that, like a cartoon. He had somebody drop a whole skit because that was the night that he shot the cop in the ass. I did not go out with them.
That was that night?
That was that night.
Okay.
Ryan called me. He was like, I should have known you didn't show up. Something must be wrong. I'm like, man, I don't hang out with artists. If we're promoting something, it's different. But I'm not going to, I wasn't his manager. He ain't breaking me off. What I'm gonna go to the club for? He gonna get his money. At that bitch, I was paying him that night at that club. Then, so yeah, I was there. I was paying him.
But Parrish, you just dropped the gem. That interview with Ryan Cameron was the same night that he shot the cops. Yeah.
Oh, Ryan says in the thing. Ryan. Matter of fact, somebody called me that's doing a
shout out to Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan
Cameron.
That's my dude. Like, yeah, that's my dude. Ryan tell you the story. Like, I didn't come out with him. Like, man, I always had my own thing though. I never was like trying to be hanging around with artists because I have to tell you your shit ain't hot sometimes. And if I'm like trying to be buddy with you, that might not go over well. I'm like more like a coach or a gentleman. I'm trying to help you achieve your dreams. I'm not trying to be like hang out with you type of stuff. That's a different life.
Yeah. My mom's has chimed in. She says, "Is this a documentary?"
She said, "This is the documentary."
Damn, I'm old as shit. Damn, Mom.
She said, "This is the documentary."
I know I'm old.
Mom Duke said, "This is a documentary." Speaking of, man, look,
She
man,
set them up.
we talked
But I
about.
work at Quality Control, Mom. I work with Migos. Hey, I work with Lil Baby. I'm not just ancient history.
I'm about to do this now because I wanted to set it up because we had an opportunity to talk about you where you started in terms of, you know, getting it in, street promotions, working at Busted. I mean, you work with some huge artists, huge ownership,
Yeah.
and you've been in the business a long time, and you are still in the business.
Yes.
Matter of fact, Quality Control, the gentleman you just said you like to coach people up. You standing beside the coach. Now, for folks that don't pay attention to the music industry the way that we do.
Well, hold on, I'm gonna get what you set that up. Let me get my charger because I see I'm running out of juice.
Okay, all right.
Set that up. I'm just plugging in.
So yeah, he's juicing up right now. The gentleman, Coach K, on here with Quality Control Music and Entertainment. They have artists of the likes of the Migos, Lil Yachty,
Lil Baby, City Girls,
and they just sold the company for 300 million. 300 M's?
I ain't getting none of that though.
300 M's?
I ain't getting none of that, bro.
Okay, all right. But the thing about it is, in order for the because it's not like you've been with them for 2 days. You were with Quality Control for 10 years, right?
Yeah, day one.
So you watch it grow from 0 to hero.
Like that. All right,
so when for folks that are still checking us out, when we tell you we've got some friends that started from one place and ended up in another place, these stories are powerful because you guys know the City Girls, you know a little bit, you know all of these folks, but you don't know what it took for them to get to the position that they are in now. We just talked about Parrish had to fake out Aaliyah in order to get Rock the Boat on the air.
Yeah.
He had to 52 fake out his own label to take Lauryn Hill seriously.
Right.
He had to 52 fake out JD on Money Ain't a Thing.
Right. So, I don't even remember what the original version sounded like.
No, it wasn't. No, that wasn't the single. They wanted to come with a different single. Here's the story.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
What happened was they had a different single that they wanted to come with. I think it was Mariah's song. He had songs with Slick Rick. He had everybody on the album.
That was it.
Nobody knew who Jay-Z was. And I was teasing Demet last week because I'm in the car and Money Ain't Thing comes on. So I calls Demet Gidry and says, man, you know Jay-Z need to cut us a fucking check. And he started laughing. He's like, man, I was telling somebody else about that damn story. Like, that was not going to be the single. I remember being in meetings with some of the white executives at Columbia, like the higher ups, right? And they're like, you know, we going through the album and, you know, they're saying, you know, some people saying they like the Slick Rick song and other people, oh, no, we got to do the Mariah's, you know. Parrish, what you think? We got to do some Money and Thing needs to be the first one. Everybody looking at me like I was Chris Rock and
Will Smith.
Yeah, what the fuck? Money and Thing. There's like, and then one of the white guys to me is like, who's that? Right? Who's Jay-Z? Like, who's Jay-Z?
Wow.
Everything.
Who's Jigga?
And at that time, if you wasn't in the culture, you really didn't know who Jay-Z was. He hadn't had a big record.
True.
The biggest record, and then somebody else says, oh, he has the Hawaiian Sophie record. And I was like, yeah, but that's not why I'm saying that. I said, that's not his biggest record. And then somebody tried to argue with me in the meeting about that. And I was like, see, if you were in the culture, you would know that on his album, that might have been the biggest record that he's had. But when it comes terms to what's big on him, it wasn't Hawaiian Sophie. It was something that came off of the
Reasonable Doubt.
No.
Nah, but a lot of times we'd be like, oh, that's the guy that's
biggest record was Came
Jazz.
off the Nutty Fresh. No, it was off the Nutty Professor 2 soundtrack. It was called "Who You With."
Who
That's
you
the
with? Yeah.
biggest record that
That's
he
right.
had at that time. And if you was in the club, see, it wasn't a record that was it was on the soundtrack.
Right.
But that ran the fucking club. That "Who You With"
Yeah.
was on fucking fire.
But we would also say the guy that's in the video with Jazzo.
Oh yeah.
Right. We would say that guy.
Yeah, but even Jazzo hadn't had a record as big as "Who You With."
True.
Who You With? When
Right.
that record came out that summer, any club you can, that thing was hot.
It's fire. Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah.
And so I told them in the meeting, I said, he just came off of the hottest record of the summer. You know, and they was like, what was that? Like, what was that? They didn't know what "Who You With" was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then what happened was Mariah couldn't do a video because she had to go to South America. It was something like that. And so they were like, this could be a setup record, Paris, but we're not shooting a video on that. And so it was not supposed, that's why the video was late coming on Money Ain't a Thing.
They shot a video.
But they did end up shooting a video, and that shit's still on the radio today.
Yeah.
So, and that was never supposed to be a single, and it was the biggest single on 1492. And Jermaine didn't want that to be, he thought didn't believe in his album, but no, I just knew that was the best song for that, you know, where the culture was at that time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've been used to being the only one in a room of people and champion what I think that the culture wants to, you know, hear. So that just was another thing. And I didn't know, God be setting you up for stuff, man. And so my career has been a consistent thing of that, you know, that is just really what it's been.
Hey, Parrish, do you remember a song that you stood up and banged on the table for, and the white suits basically told you no, and it never really took off, or maybe it became an underground hit? Is there any of those songs? Huh?
Well, you know, it's been some, you know, to me, the most disappointing project that I probably thought I ever been lightweight affiliated with, and I was just very disappointed because I felt the Suits killed it, was Maxwell's second album.
Really?
Yeah.
Embryo?
And what was that? Embryo?
It was Embryo.
Embryo, yeah.
Oh, Curious?
You didn't hear the real album. They changed that album, man, maybe 10, 15 times.
I do kind of remember it falling kind of flat, though.
They kept watering it down. They were trying to make him an AC artist or something. And they killed that man.
But that came right after Till the Cops Come Knocking, one of the hottest.
Yeah.
Urban
Take
Hang
Your
Street
Girl
album.
Home.
Then, you know, he did that, I think, was it R. Kelly or something, produced that, he was on that soundtrack. And that record was big, that R. Kelly, I think, wrote or produced that.
Fortunate.
Yes.
R. Kelly wrote
So,
that. Yeah.
Yes. So, but that's the style Maxwell was supposed to have been on. And the original equipment, the original Embryo album had that kind of feel.
Okay.
But they felt it was too urban. And the powers that be watered that thing all the way down to it was just bland.
Yeah.
And
You still had hits off of it, though.
All of this, no, not the second one, not off Embryo.
What were the hits on the second one, E, that you remember? I remember that one falling flat. I do remember being disappointed.
It was flat. It was disappointing.
Wasn't Coco Curious on it?
Yeah, but that wasn't as hot
What
as
song? I'm
you.
like, what song?
Thank you. Of all the Maxwell records,
were you in Richmond, E? Y'all just played whatever y'all wanted then.
Hey man, look, you play Maxwell, the ladies. Hey, can you play Maxwell? Absolutely.
That was one of the markets that played. I was running around with Maxwell at that time, and I just felt bad because I just knew it wasn't the one. And it's funny because when I came back a third time to work for Brad Davidson, you know, and this is an era when we did the Green Light, you know, with Andre 3000 and our guy. I was back working as Brad's right hand, And so that was my third time around. And so I gave me a chance to go out with Maxwell on tour. And when Maxwell found out I was back, oh man, I want Paris to do them. Man, I was so mad at Maxwell. He had me down. Man, he requested me to, you know, because Maxwell is a guy that he likes to be comfortable. And I, you know, so I've been knowing him, you know.
Come on. You're being too damn humble at this point. Aaliyah said she doesn't want to be in a room for an interview without you there. Maxwell said he saw you. Now he called you. Hey, there's a reason. They know that you fought for him. They know that you know what you're doing. And when you got to deal with the suits, they know what Paris gonna do. He gonna get in there and he gonna say something.
That's right.
But and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to put this podcast together, because nobody understands. They see the sausage. They don't want to know how it's made.
Oh, no doubt about that.
They hear "Rock the Boat" and all these songs. Oh, man, that was a genius, blah, blah, blah. No, somebody had to fight. Somebody might have gotten fired. Somebody got cussed out. Somebody lost their jobs. Some of us that were in the room that knew it was wrong wouldn't say it.
Oh, man. Big facts. Now you're preaching.
Some of us were in the room with the suits that knew it was the
wrong
good
job. They got that good job. They ain't gonna put that on.
But they're not gonna suffer the loss of their job, even though they know they should say something right now because it is hot or it's not. But they're not gonna say nothing.
No, they ain't gonna say
at the expense of that artist. So when we put this podcast together, we wanted to highlight brothers like Paris, the brother that you see on there right now. Bobby Duckett, Wanda, Arlinda. I got Fat Tommy coming next week, who was actually at the museum the night Biggie got shot, because he called me when Biggie got shot.
I was outside.
Anniversary. Were you there?
Sure. Yeah, I was outside. I couldn't get in. And then so I ended up going to the Outcast. LaFace had something. I think it was Outcast or something, that listening party, and I went to that because we couldn't get in when I got there. And actually, Lou Tucker called me from the hospital because he was.
Lou Tucker.
Lou called me right
after
when they pronounced him dead, and Lou called me on the phone. Man, it was just like a surreal time because. You know, I was out that night, and then I came back in. I lived in Santa Monica at that time. Like, I wasn't trying to stay around a bunch of bullshit. I was working at Death Row. I lived in Santa Monica, man. I went to work, and my job was to market and promote and try to help these artists.
Right.
I'm not, I'm a real dude, so I ain't got time for the little bullshit. I'm not playing little games. I'm not in no gang. Like, my gang is trying to make you guys life change. And I would tell artists that. And some of my favorite artists was some of the most hood dudes. Or FTB. And, them motherfuckers came and put the gun out on the table.
Yeah.
I told them motherfuckers, what the fuck you think this is, motherfucker? I got one of those too. Them motherfuckers put that shit back up, start laughing. They said, man, I heard you was a real one, man. Those my dudes from Watts, man. They was my dudes, man. It's just brothers, man. They just want to see long as you real, man. And Suge told me a story when I got out there. He's like, man, I can't figure something out about you, Paris. And I'm like, what? We in the car, he got a driver, we in the back, and we talking. He said, man, if anybody that's gonna be around me, I gotta check their ghetto report card. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, so I called, my guys in Oakland, to see what kind of motherfucker you is, man. What they say about you at the house. He said, man, you know what fucked me up about your ass, man? I'm like, what? He's like, man, didn't nobody even know who I was talking about when I was talking about Paris Johnson in the music industry? He said, man, they kept saying the basketball player.
Hold on.
That's funny.
Man.
That's funny.
Oh, he said, man, how the fuck nobody even know you in the music business back at home, man? I said, man, when I go back home, I go visit my parents and visit family. I don't go parties and none of that shit. That ain't me. Like, I go home.
Wanda Hayes said the same thing, right?
Same thing.
Yeah.
I'm low key when I go home. So people still that know me more for basketball and what I did in high school and stuff and beyond, you know, than what they knew about the music business. They didn't know I was in it.
Right.
Wow.
To be quite
Well,
honest.
speaking of basketball, because you've been in the music industry for a long time, but you never lost the love for the game.
Yeah.
And hey, Lo, I had no idea that Paris was this deep in the game.
My God.
The gentleman that's right beside him is rumored to be the number 2 pick in the next NBA draft.
Big facts.
Really?
And the gentleman beside the young man coached him for how many years did you coach, Scooter?
Since 8th grade, I had Scoop, man. I was, you know, all the way
Wow.
to turn pro.
Wow.
He is rumored to what's the kid from
What's his name? Say his name.
Scoot Henderson.
Scoot Henderson.
Okay.
Yep, Scoot Henderson. We went to high school here in Marietta, where I'm at now. My son, teammate, my son's best friends.
Okay.
And I coached him and my son and a bunch of other young men and on the AU circuit, you know, took these young men all around the country from Portland, Texas. I mean, we were everywhere, man. California. And Scoot was kicking ass everywhere, man.
Now, I haven't seen it, but I heard he was disrespectful on dunking on grown men.
Yes, he's very, very disrespectful.
This is the guy they've been talking about.
Yes.
I've heard about him. Okay.
He will dunk on a grown man in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I've heard about him.
Pro in U.S. history.
Yeah.
No, at 17, he left high school after his junior year in high school. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Never played his senior year in high school. Graduated that summer, graduated early, and went to the G League. So he's 17 years old, playing against grown-ass men. And, you know, so last year he was too young to get drafted. He kicked ass as a 17-year-old in the G League. And then he turned 18 end of February. And so, you know, he was too young to be in the draft last year. He had to be 19. Right. So he turned 19 last month. He just turned 19 last month, man.
Now, how tall are you, Parrish?
I'm 6'4".
6'4"? Okay.
Yeah, he's 6'3", you see right on.
And the only reason why he's not the number 1 draft pick because there's a freak.
Victor Villamignano, yeah, 7'6",
7'5", 7'6", yeah, with a handle. Yeah.
Hold on, but he played against him.
Yeah, Scoot was giving him the business too.
Gave him the business.
Scoot is that dude, man. He's gonna he's a future face of the NBA.
Okay.
Great young man, great family. They brought me in, like I said, since I had the young man since he was 8th grade. And we kicked ass all around the country. And I had one of the top AU teams.
Does he have a shoe deal yet?
Oh yeah, well he's actually did one while he was with Ignite with Puma. He had the biggest non-NBA shoe deal ever for somebody that hadn't made it to the NBA yet.
Now for the folks that pay attention to us on social media, we originally had Parrish to be on the show about 2 weeks ago.
Right? Yes.
So Parrish couldn't make the show. He's like, "Hey man, I'm at a game." So he texted me the picture. His son is playing in the playoffs.
Yes.
Tomorrow they are in the semifinals.
Final Four, baby.
Final Four. Now his son is the next prodigy because we know Parrish play ball, but his son ain't no joke.
Yeah, I'm proud of him. Really smart young man, and you know he followed his dream. He wanted to play with his boy Scoot, so we moved up here to Marietta, and they've done really well. His freshman year, he was a part of a team that went to the Final Four, lost in overtime. His sophomore year, he became a starter on the team with Scoot, and they made it to the state championship game and lost in the state championship game. And last year as a junior, they lost and by 2 points in the Elite Eight. And this year they're ranked number 1 in the state. And you know, I think we're 25-2, ranked top 30 in the country now. They have a good squad of young men. So I'm proud of them.
How you got time to coach? run one of the top labels in the business.
I don't run it. I work there. Quality control. Coach K and P.
Oh yeah, I mean, with all of your experience, I'm sure it helps a whole lot.
Yeah, well, when you see situations, and that's all I try to do is be their OG. Like, P. I'm so proud of Pierre Thomas. Everybody knows him as P. He walked in my office with a Versace record. Him and Coach K. Coach K brought him to my office, and Coach K called me first and said, "Man, I got a new business partner." Well, I was working with Rocco, and I did this song called "You Ain't Know It," and we had Future. Rocco had signed Future, and so I was working with Rocco, and so we were planning on blowing up his company, which was A1 and Free Bands, and I thought we were going to be the next big thing. And then for whatever reasons, Rocco and Future wasn't getting along. And man, that was probably one of my most disappointing, because I felt like we really built something and it was falling apart. But God had me, because when that happened, You Ain't Know, it was top 5 in the country, independent. It was just Rocco and I.
Right.
And him and, and so I had really went in with Rocco, because a lot of people don't know I used to manage K. Michelle as well. I got K. Michelle her first deal. I introduced K to Memphis. I knew Memphis when he was rapping.
Okay.
And so
was she on RCA then?
Well, I introduced her to Memphis. Okay. He signed her at Jive.
Okay, Jive. Okay.
Yeah, it was at Jive. And when I started managing her, that's when I worked for Brad Davidson at Columbia, and did the John Legend and J. Cole.
Okay.
The warm up, his first project was on the road with J. Cole for a while and stuff. So that was after I started working with K. Michelle.
Right. Okay.
K was just a handful. And I was like, you know what?
I saw it on Hip Hop Atlanta, so I could tell she was
I had number love for, it's funny because people would say, I was their best manager ever, because I just didn't take no shit.
Right.
And so I thought
your resume, you didn't have to. So
I thought it would have been bigger. Kay could have really been bigger. Honestly, she's an extremely talented young lady. But sometimes,
sister can sing.
Sometimes, you can't manage yourself a lot of times, and and if you don't have people that's not scared to tell you the hard things, and I wasn't scared to tell her the truth. Me, I don't give a fuck. Like,
right.
So it wasn't not being malice. Tim and I got in an argument time, and he would try to turn up on me, and I'm like, Tim, you're not the best producer I worked with. Slow down. What could he say? Worked with Interscope and Death Row, Dre, and that.
Right.
Dre. How many records have you sold? How many? What we doing? What you do?
Right.
So what can So it's relative, and I wasn't saying it at that time to be malicious, but I just had to I was trying to check him, like, look, dude, you talking to somebody who know what the fuck they talking about.
Right.
And the conversation that we were arguing about was that I just didn't want him to do a Timbaland Magoo album. And I had nothing against Magoo, but I'm on the business side. And I was like, it's going to fail. I said, let's do a Timbaland and Friends album. And Magoo can have, songs on there with you. That's your boy.
Features, a couple of features.
And nothing wrong with that. And then all these people you've been producing for, let's get a song from each of them. And let's call it Timbaland and Friends. And he didn't want to do it. And
he did the Timbaland and Magoo album.
Yes.
And then they had, I think the only single was the
biggest song. You know what the biggest song wasn't the one he picked. I had to go back in parish mode.
Well, it was Love to Love It. Love to Love You.
No, that was from a previous album.
Oh, okay.
You know what the biggest song on that album, and you can call one of your fellow DJs.
Where was it?
Crooklyn Clan and Timbaland. Come on, who's that? Who said Crooklyn Clan and Timbaland?
I remember
Timbaland, Crooklyn Crew.
Yeah.
Your boy up in New York, DJ
Clue.
Islands. Come on, man.
Flex?
Crazy ass be
Flex?
damn. No.
Red Alert?
No. He's gonna kill me.
Oh, you talking about Scoop?
Scoop.
Fat Man Scoop. Fat Man Scoop.
But that wasn't even a record. That was kind of like more like a break beat, right?
No, that was a single. I made it a single. We put out
Okay.
something else and it failed. That song worked.
Okay.
And it put Scoop. Scoop was so happy. He was so happy. Oh man, he was so happy.
Good.
Yeah, the story asking. You know, I told him, I said, man,
Hey, we gotta get Scoop on the show now.
It sound like a break beat.
You know, but it was the best. You know,
it was the best one. Right. Still gets played to this day.
Man, I told Tim, I said, man, don't let Jay-Z get you, man. Jay-Z be getting everybody. He's like, man, that's my boy, man. What are you talking about? I was like, man, Jay-Z be getting hot songs from y'all and then give y'all boo-boo songs for your album. I got to deal with it. See, I'm not, and it's nothing against Jay-Z because like I did Money Ain't a Thing and turned him up.
Right.
You know, so, but that album, that song he gave Timbaland was some bullshit. You know, I was mad. I ain't gonna even lie, I was mad.
What song was it?
Thank you. See, this is the thing. See, this is the thing. You just said it. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, I'm like, what song was it?
To an artist, and I'm telling them, look, this ain't it. And then, And then 2 years later, I'm getting with a DJ. Hey man, what song was that?
Right.
That tells you that song wasn't shit that you did, man.
Right.
Because if the song was something, he would still know it.
The DJ would know.
But I got, you know, we got the hardest job in the business. A&R is not as hard as this. Because they all think when you're in the studio with these A&R guys, man, and these artists, man, they think they're all of them is fucking hits. I'll be in the studio and they all just nodding their heads, and I'll be like, this shit right here. Right. Oh man.
That's fire.
So Paris, can you make this? You can get this on in New York and LA, right? I know the PD. He's not gonna do it.
They haven't, but they think, you know, and so many hours of manpower, studio time, and it's being spent on so much bullshit. It's crazy. It'd be crazy to me, you know. That's what was the hardest part about being on my end of the business. That you're at the end, that I got to deal with guys like y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
And they don't see that. And so I'm coming in playing
how the sausage is made.
And they don't understand that after I leave, there's another record rep coming in with a whole new sack of records. And after he leaves, there's another record rep coming in with a whole new sack of records.
Right.
Your record ain't standing up, and that's and so when you try to tell them that they think it's personal, it's not personal.
Yeah, it's not. And then we have only a few spots or slots that are available. You know what I mean?
So you know, I try to cut to the chase because I know what you're gonna say.
Right.
You know, and I've done this long enough, so I would try to come to the table with something that I know is going to stick. And so that's what happened with the Timbaland thing. And you know, and you do a whole, and even with Jermaine's album, and there's, you know, and at that time they were spending a lot of money on these albums, and then you look at what actually got played. There was a lot of bad investments made on singles.
Wow.
You know, on paying people to do songs that didn't nobody play.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Didn't nobody play them. And you know, I what can you say? I saw it coming a mile away, and you try to tell an artist or the producer, and you know, you in for a fight.
Wow. So what's next for you, man?
Man, I'm just, you know, going to just try to keep affecting the culture. It keeps me young. You know, I like working with these kids, in this basketball space too. And, you know, at Quality Control, we're doing some great things. You know, I think P and Coach are geniuses, man. You know, I love their energy, you know, and I'm so proud of them because I've just seen them grow. You know, I remember when, you know, P didn't even speak, you know, he was a man of no words in the beginning. And now he's doing interviews and articulating where he's going with his business. I'm just so proud of him, man. It's, you know, what can you ask for? Like, it's, for me, I think my career is about helping Black entrepreneurs be successful. Amen. I think that's been the most powerful things that I've done in my career, is what I've been able to do in our culture. not what I've done for the Interscopes and the Columbias. I worked at Interscope twice, and I worked at Columbia 3 times. And the last time I was there, you know, got a chance to develop a friendship with a young man named J. Cole, and I'm still real cool with his managers and stuff to this day, you know. And I told Cole, like, you got it. And all he wanted to do is I drove them around. We did a promo run, and I think the pop person couldn't make it, and he asked for me. And I drove them around, man, for a week, and all he wanted to do was hear Tupac stories.
Hey,
real talk. He a big Tupac fan, and that's all Cole wanted to hear about, man.
Bro, but I mean, think about. I get it. He probably a big fan, but there was nobody better to tell the story as the guy in the room that was there.
Yeah. He asked a lot of questions. Cole's very smart guy. Smart. He's probably one of the this new era of rappers. I would put him up there at the top of, especially guys that I've worked with. But I told him in the warm up, I said, bro, you out of here.
Yeah.
He's like, come on, man. He didn't believe it like I saw it. I was like, dude, you out of here. What I'm seeing, I haven't seen before. And he has made me right. I told Brad and told people at Columbia, we weren't even working a single. I asked because I was trying to study what made him so hot. And I just watched him, how he interacted even with his fans and everything. I was just really impressed with how they rolled, man. And I'm just so proud of the success that he had. So I look at him and Migos, because, you know, shoot, when I met them, all of them didn't even drive. I don't think at the time. I mean, they all didn't have cars.
That's funny.
You know, they were still kind of really packing up together, moving around, like, you know, and just to see, you know, them and their families prosper, man. And I'm just so proud of them, you know. It just, you know, I was at we were all at Pete's birthday party, and, you know, this past summer, and I was just telling Takeoff how proud of him I was, and we had a moment, you know, and we talked about him going out on the road by himself, because I just told him, you're ready now. I said, you're finally ready. I was teasing. I said, I said, your ass is finally ready, motherfucker. He started laughing, and you know, it was
time to go solo.
You know, just go out, because everybody had their own album. He did his own album, but he didn't do no promotion because he didn't want to talk. And I told him that was bullshit. I said, man, I'm never gonna let you do that shit again. I said, your ass is going out and you're gonna tell people about this art that you make, because, you know, people need to know. And he said, yeah, you're right, Parrish, man, you're right. I'm ready. And that's what he told me, you know, last time, you know. So it was really hard to swallow, you know. But that situation, and then Lil Baby. When I met Lil Baby, shit, he told me that he didn't want to rap. Him and P they were arguing in the studio. I came to meet with P about something. It was maybe 10 o'clock at night, and I just happened to pass through, and P's like, man, talk to this motherfucker in here, man. You don't want to listen. And I'm like, what motherfucker? I didn't know who he was talking about.
Right.
Baby, man, this new artist we got, Lil Baby. Oh, we got a new artist named Lil Baby? Oh, I don't know who he talking about.
Right.
He take me back to the A room where he was recording.
Right.
He introduced me to Lil Baby. He's like, you need to talk to him. And Pete slammed the door and left. I'm like, damn. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, man, everybody say I should rap. I ain't really studying this rap shit, but he said, I just came home. I ain't trying to go back to jail. So that's I'm gonna go ahead and fuck with this shit. Mm-hmm. And he writing some shit in his phone, writing some shit, and the engineer in there. And I'm like, man, why you don't want to rap? We talking. I said, you don't see what we just did with Migos. He said, man, I don't do no dancing, man. I ain't doing no smiling. He told me some shit. And I said, man, there's so many different ways that you can do this, man. You write your own style, bro, you know.
Right.
But I don't know. I've never heard this man music. I'm just talking to him just as a man to man, you know. He's like, you know, and that, I think, started our relationship, you know, that day, you know. And, you know, he appreciates, like, man, I appreciate it, man. I'm going to go ahead and do this shit. And then he finished his project, and they sent me the single, and we was working the single. You know, it was doing all right. DJ's like the first single. Then his mixtape comes out,
Right.
and I'm like, this is hot. So I'm taking some kids to an AU tournament in Charlotte. Let me play this little baby for these kids. They all 6th, 7th graders or something. And I'm a big ass band. And they're like, Coach, what you know about Lil Baby? This was all we listened to. And I had kids from Atlanta, I had kids from Athens, talking about some hood kids that know, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got to feed them and everything. They mamas didn't give them and daddies no money for the weekend of this basketball. It's all on me. You know, it's them kind of situations. Man, they know that shit word for word. They said, Coach, play our record. And I'm like, nah, this is the single though. Y'all check this out. I rewind that shit. Nah, Coach, we want to hear my dog. Do you know them little had me play that shit about 20, 25 times in a row?
You good.
I was like, whoa. So I get back to Atlanta. I take it to some of my DJs. So let me go out with this record because this is something to it. And, you know, I started getting that feedback. So I called P. Like, hey, man, I think we working the wrong single.
Wow.
And he's like, come on, man. We just did put this out 2-3 weeks ago. I said, I'm just telling you what I think the next single should be. And what the streets is saying.
Streets was saying.
He said, all right. 2 days later, P called me back. He's like, man, fuck it. Let's go with that one, man. Fuck it. Right. He put up the money, gave me put up another budget for another song.
Okay.
And this is, you know, maybe about 4 weeks after the last one. How many people would do that?
Right.
Not many.
And my dog was that one, you know. And Lil Baby, we took off.
You can thank all those 6th graders.
Yeah, they really helped me out. And it's funny, it came to the next single. We didn't have one, and I had to call Baby. I was like, man, you know, I said, I'm gonna tell you, my favorite one is freestyle, man. But coaching them, they don't nobody want to do it because they said they got a hook. I really don't care, baby. What you think? He's like, man, every time I do a show, they go crazy. I in my show with that one. That's my favorite record. I was like, well, you know, if you call P and tell him you want to do it, he'll probably go with it because I think that should be the next one. And that's how we came up and to go with freestyle, man. And man, people still playing that. He still, a lot of times he has to do shows. He has to do that freestyle record, you know. Right. So you didn't see that picture. I don't know if I sent you the picture with me and Lil Baby. I think I got that one. But you know, those are the things that I'm mostly proud of. I even got a short cameo in his video documentary that he put out. You got to look real close, but I'm up in there.
I was going to start watching it the other day. I got sidetracked, but I'm gonna check it out. Man, I truly appreciate that you took the time.
Man,
on the podcast.
30 years ago, you know, it's a lot packed, and I'm still going. So I didn't mean to go this long, but
bruh. I mean, you kept just
we didn't mind.
Jules.
Yeah,
another jewel.
Still right.
Thank you, Paris.
We got this young lady named Gloss Up right now. That's
so I gotta be on the lookout.
Her name again, Gloss Up.
Yeah, she's a part of that Glorilla crew, them young ladies out of Memphis.
Okay.
And, Gloss is that one. You hear me? I worked with Juicy J. I lived in Memphis. I told y'all.
Right.
And then when I was at Columbia, I worked with Juicy J. And Drummer Boy is like a little brother to me. I've known him since he was in high school.
Right.
You know, and him and Gangsta Boo were really tight. She used to actually live at his condo. And so I always said if Juicy J and Gangsta Boo would have had a child, it would have been Gloss. You know, and I'm not saying it disrespectful.
Right.
Anything like that. So I'm just talking about the talent.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. I mean, amazing. The way, because Juicy, I've always liked the way he rapped on top of the beat. And I used to tease him about that. I was like, man, I said, you rap out of sync. You on top of the beat, you know? And I said, but that's what make your ass hot. And we laugh about it, you know? And Boo, her energy And she was honest on them records.
Right.
I love her honesty. Juicy say any fucking thing. Juicy a fool. But Boo was just, and so Gloss, she's merged those two, and she's phenomenal. I think she's gonna be the next one because she's spinning bars.
Okay.
And they're party bars. A lot of people rap that's just listening to. She got club beats, and I haven't heard a female, many females that can do it consistently. Cardi was in that lane, but she's got that South lingo on it. So pay attention to her, and she's, she calls herself Gloss, aka Big Gloss, but beautiful chocolate sister. Standing up for that brown girl magic.
Okay.
So I'm excited for her, and I'm intent to making her a star. So that's like
hey man, look, I got my money on her being a star. We just
That's because you say so.
If you say so, I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Now,
brother, how can they find you on social media?
I think I got it right there on
there.
The
it is, Hip Hoppreneurs.
And I came up with that because I work with the entrepreneurs of hip hop. That's been the status of my career. My best work has been working with entrepreneurs of the hip hop generation, and that are the Coach K's and the P's and the Shugs, and that's kind of really, I think, the Roccos. Can't leave my boy Rocco out because we did some really amazing things. As ended him being independent. So I'm just as proud of the work that I did with Rocco and Future, before they had deals. And, a lot of people don't talk about that stuff, and Rocco doesn't get enough credit in this whole rap game thing. He's a guy that just stayed true to what he was about. And so he never tried to be, but when you start talking about the people's champ, he was like the people's champ, for real. And still get in. He go do a club and they know it word for word.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Lo, how can they find you, my brother?
Well, they can find me on Star 94.5 Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. and also on Hot 105 in Miami, Star 94.5.
Lo, still in Miami. I remember
Yes.
when I first went down there. I remember when you left DC and went down to Miami.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's been 20 years.
That's crazy.
20 years. I left in 2003, left the DC area, came down here to Miami and been down here for 20 years, Parrish. 20 years.
Yeah, I came back up because I remember I went down to Orlando. Lowe's like, I'm coming down to Miami. I said, come on down, brother. The sun is fine down here. Yeah, I left in 2006, and I've been in Atlanta since 2006.
He was in Virginia.
Yeah.
We used to talk on the phone. He knew my rep. I came down there, and I was still single. I met a young lady that was really cool, and I started coming down to VA. I ain't gonna say his name. I started coming down to VA, and then that's when me and E started getting real cool. I'm like, oh, man, he's real cool, And so I started spending a lot more time in that whole little, and then I started to spend more time in DC too. So, so it's real cool just to see brothers still doing well, man, and doing their thing, man. I'm proud of both y'all.
Still doing it, man. Still doing it, man. So when you come down this way, you definitely have to look me up, all right? I'm gonna get your info get your math from E. Lee, okay?
Right.
All right, Paris.
Thank you, fellas. No doubt.
Bruh. I know I'm gonna see you at the station. If you got more artists, I know I'll see you at the station.
Oh yeah,
come on, Reggie.
Yes. Hey, Reggie, that's my dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's Frat, ain't it?
That's my frat.
That's your frat. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And you got my boy J Tech over there.
Oh, you need to call Jay.
Jay, TZ's
call Jay.
Like,
call Jay. He about to do some big stuff.
Oh yeah, that's my little bro. I'm so happy for him.
Call him.
His ass was up in the sticks in Louisiana and used to call me miserable.
Yeah.
Okay, miserable.
I tell you what, Paris.
I'm so proud of you.
Paris, hold on for a second. Lo, stick around.
All right.
We're going to make this thing legal. We'll see you next week. Like I said, we got my man Fat Tommy in the place to be. He was at Bad Boy Records. We're going to talk about the night that he was actually out there when Biggie got shot. So We're gonna make this thing legal. Miami Sports Music, thank you for having us, and we out of here.